Lord Jesus, our Savior, we praise the good centurion for caring for his servant. Wrap our frontliners with your love as they risk their lives for people they do not even know. You heal the hemorrhaging woman by allowing her to touch you. Give our frontliners your peace as they touch so many frightened lives. You brought back to life the daughter of Jairus and returned her to her parents. Assure our frontliners the joy of returning to their loved ones as they serve you and save our nation. Already our transformation is happening as we witness their selfless dedication. Divine Healer, may their courage to face danger be not in vain. Please bless the work of their hands, that together with them, we may all know that you are God. Blessed Mother, our frontliners are precious to you, as they are to us. Let them rest on your lap when they are tired, and find comfort in your embrace when they are weary. We ask all these and trust in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
If it is too loud, you're too old. Radio 100.7. From the capital city of the Philippines. On air and online. On air and online. The station that plays the biggest hits. This is Manila's Radio 100.7.
Good Vibes Sunday, everyone. Welcome to the show here on HitRadio 100.7. Of course, today, our two good-looking men. Hello, my co-host, Marvin Rodriguez. Magandang hapon
Hello,
sa'yo.
everyone. Magandang hapon, DJ Gail. Magandang hapon sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayong linggo ng hapon. I hope you're having a good time. It's another session of Good Vibes Sunday of non-stop talk and learning. Welcome to the show, and I hope you get to, ask questions later on. We have a very, very good discussion ngayong hapon na to. And I'm very excited to introduce our guest in a bit. And the discussion will help us, cope up with the pandemic. What are some tips that we should be wary about, and I mean that should be able to help us get by, especially ngayon na nasa ECQ tayo. Tama ba? ECQ ba tayo? I heard DJ Gil na tomorrow Metro Manila will be on MECQ again. So what does that mean for us? Ano
Kami, ganun din. MECQ din. Calabarzon.
Calabarzon? Nasaan ka ba?
Cavite ako, di ba?
Okay. Alright. So I thought you're in Las Piñas.
No. Cavite ako. Malapit sa Danghari. So, Calabarzon will be on MECQ. But, hindi pa rin tayo pwede mag-relax. Although it's modified, mas, mas konting, maluwag dun sa ECQ. But, for me, lagi ko iniisip, laging lockdown, laging ECQ, para at least andun yung disiplina, di ba? Mas importante
nandun
yun.
yung disiplina.
Yeah.
At saka nandun din yung pagiging careful natin on a daily basis, because we don't know when this pandemic is going to end.
That's
when
true.
the virus would finally, rest
That's
on
true.
its own. Hopefully.
Ay, Diyos ko, Lord.
But let me just apologize to the audience. My hair is a mess already. As you know, I've had COVID, so I wasn't able to go out. And it's ECQ, so the barber shops are out. So the little hair that I got, it's already a mess.
Okay nga Inisip ko nga ano kaya itsura mo when you have, longer hair. Siguro, di ba? Para maiba naman. But I don't know if it's allowed in your in your office.
It is allowed naman. Miramed takes individuality on a serious note. We respect the peculiarities of everyone.
Okay. Maybe you can try it.
Again, so this afternoon, it's going to be a lot of learning, and I hope a lot of people will be able to watch this, because this is something that we might just need, di ba?
Right.
At this point, ano ba yung mga dapat nating iisipin? Saan ba tayo dapat mag-focus? kapag let's say we feel down, we feel sad because syempre a lot of us are at home. Me, nasa bahay lang ako and I'm not living in a house. I'm living in a condo. So medyo maliit lang yung space ko, di ba? And medyo nakaka-bore na din minsan. Fortunate pa nga yung ibang nasa bahay lang kasi they have garden, may mas malaking space that they can move in.
Correct.
Pero still, may mga certain peculiarities in ating lifestyle, and I hope that we are able to share with our viewers how to, cope up and how to set our minds to pivot into something that's beneficial to our well-being.
That's right.
Diba?
That's right.
Kasi katulad ngayon, MECQ, pero hinihintay pa natin yung guidance ng government. So that's, for us, di ba, nasanay na tayo na it's GCQ, MECQ, whatever Q that will be having, iba-iba naman sila. Pero, if we check our minds, how are we adapting to those?
Yeah.
Are we getting negative all throughout? Kasi kung baka iniisip natin, wala na namang pagbabago kapag kahit MECQ yan or ECQ The fact remains, lockdown tayo. So what does that tell us and what's going on in our minds? Siyempre, isipin natin, naka-lockdown pa rin tayo, we're not back to normal, transportation is not there, the office is closed, we cannot earn a living on just like we used to.
Yeah.
So syempre merong anxiety that would come.
Yun talaga.
Yeah, di ba may mga bad side yan. Although meron din naman mga good side. Others, as we know, they took the opportunity to be creative. So baka yun yung mga dapat natin gawin while we are undergoing this lockdown to help us survive. Baka we needed to be creative. Probably would want to hear from our guests what is his take on this and what is his advice to our audience. Right,
Definitely.
Gail?
Yes, definitely. Oo, yun. I'm very excited to listen to Doc Ray's talk this afternoon on our Good Vibes Sunday. Well, lalo na mind grit, motivation, and mind setting yung pag-uusapan natin. Ako, na-excite ako. Ladies and gentlemen,
Probably would want to introduce our guest na.
Sige. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for today, he is the Philippine Society for Quality President, Process Excellence and Transformation, Data Analytics, Lean Six Sigma, Master Black Belt, Thought Leader. Wow, diba? He's also a keynote speaker and Marketing in Asia Rising Personalities Top 70. Wow. Joke ba yun? Grabe. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker for today is Dr. Ray Fremista. Hi, Doc. Welcome to the show. Kamusta?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Gail. And thank you, Marvin, for inviting me over right here. And I can really relate to what you mentioned earlier, Marvin. Right, that we have to stay positive despite the fact that we are in this ECQ. And I've heard in the news that it's extended up until the end of the month.
Yeah.
So how do we stay positive? How do we stay motivated or inspired despite these things that are happening in our environment? So I believe that's the main focus of why I'm here today. Maybe I can share something that can uplift the audience right now who are watching.
Definitely.
Right. So, thank you, Doc Ray, for saying yes to us and be on the show. We're really, really glad that you are here because the topic that we're going to discuss, wala akong maisip na ibang tao na makakapag-discuss nito sa ating audience,
wow.
but you. Yeah.
Wow.
And reading from, hearing what Gail has mentioned about your background, so I was really amazed about that Six Sigma Black Belt, diba? Kasi maraming levels ang Six Sigma, no? And only a few people would be able to reach the Black Belt. You're a Master Black Belt, right?
Grabe.
Yes,
What does that mean?
Marvin.
Pwede natin ba i-expound kung anong ibig sabihin nun? Kasi marami na ako
Sige
narinig
nga,
mga
Doc
belt.
Ray.
Oo. Ano po ibig sabihin
Yeah,
nun, Doc?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sige. So, there are different belts pagdating sa Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma is a powerful methodology in problem solving. If you want to solve, any of the problems that you have in any organizations or company, then you can
Mm,
use that as a methodology, as an approach. So that's a quality improvement approach.
okay.
So, there are levels pagdating sa Lean Six Sigma. So it starts with the yellow belt, you have the green belt, the black belt, the
Right.
master black belt would be at the top. So it only means, so before you get to the master black belt, you need to have different types of improvement projects or organizations. So
Right.
multiple projects yon, and then you will be studying a lot of techniques and tools that can help you, so that you'll be equipped in terms of solving any of the problems on the organization. So it it's a journey. It's a long journey for you to get there. And maybe I'm
Yeah.
just one of those fortunate people to get a certification, because it's really hard to get there. So being a thought leader from Lean Six Sigma perspective is a huge challenge, and it's a huge role actually that you need to fill in.
Right.
Mm,
So I
mm-hmm.
suppose very few lang kayo na merong black belt here in the Philippines, no? And very few are only able to get the master black belt, I suppose.
That's
Even
correct.
in
That's correct,
Asia,
Marvin.
even worldwide, probably wala pa kayo sa 100 na naka-master black belt. So really, that's something mind-blowing na kaagad. Because I myself, I have some Six Sigma experience. I'm a green belt, but that's nothing as compared. And I know that there's still a lot of stuff to do before you reach a different level. So yellow and
Oh.
green belt is on the lower side of it, but it helps. Just like what Dr. Ray is going to discuss to us, siguro, Lean Six Sigma is something that helps you solve problem in a different way. There's a
Oh.
method that you'll be able to use so that there's a way for you to look at problems and apply solutions that are really well thought of. So that
Oh,
in a
okay.
nutshell, that's my understanding of Six Sigma.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. And then and to Gail and into all of our audience right now, so you would be noticing, di ba, may mga colors, right? And those colors are actually coming from the yung sa taekwondo, right? So there are different
Mm-hmm.
colors. So
Taekwondo.
so those are the proficiency when it comes to the Lean Six Sigma. So as you go higher, so the color, you can get different types of colors. So that's from yellow to green to black and then the master black. So
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
technically you are mentoring and coaching, more of your black belts, and then down the line. So that's the main function of the master black belt. And that's true, Marvin. This is applicable to the even in the daily life that we have, right, that we experience.
Mm,
All of we experience problems, right, and then you can use that methodology in solving that specific problem. And just you mentioned, right, we can be more scientific or we can be more methodical in terms of solving the problem. And maybe for me, that's one of the reasons why I can maybe I am more positive because of that, because I have different tools that can help me solve
Oh,
right,
okay.
right.
those different types of problems. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's helping me. So maybe
And
that's one of the drivers.
and that is what we are excited about to learn from you this afternoon. What are the tools that are out there? Siguro yung iba iniisip nila, okay, si Dr. Ray, meron siyang training on Six Sigma, nagkaroon siya ng maraming experiences on, for example lang so but on a regular person, what are these tools that he can, take advantage of na nasa bahay lang? What are some self-help tools that
Oo.
he could take advantage of? And probably you could direct us to that kind of information that's going to be really helpful for everyone. Diba?
Yeah.
Kasi ngayon, dumadami na yung ating viewers at this point. Good afternoon to 270 viewers so far
Wow.
Wow.
on both my Facebook Live, the Facebook Live of Hit Radio, as well as YouTube. So a lot of viewers at this point. So they're really excited for that.
Yeah, si
But
Tim Limwangko is watching. Remember
all
Tim
right,
from
hello Tim.
Sutherland?
Yeah,
Hi
yeah, I
Tim.
remember him.
Hello. Thank you for watching.
And he's
Nakakatawa.
also well versed in Six Sigma, I suppose, because he's an
Ah,
operations
okay.
director.
Mm.
So That's one area. So there, I suppose after the discussion of Dr. Ray, there will be a lot of questions coming from the audience, and we
Right.
are very much excited for that one. But
Yes.
before we we go to that, before we go to the finale, let me just share a bit of information about how we survived the pandemic in Miramed during the first lockdown. I just want to share that. Kasi di ba, nung una pa lang around March 17, I remember it, March 17,
Last
nung
year.
biglang nag-declare ng lockdown. Suddenly, at a loss yung mga organizations
Yeah.
ano ba ibig sabihin ng lockdown na to? Hindi ba kami pwede pumunta ng office, mga ganon, pinagbabawal na ba kami? So, let me just share that so that others could also see see what we have experienced, and probably they could check if it's applicable to them or not, or baka pwede rin nila sila mag-share sa akin na, hey, baka naman medyo nagkulang ka sa ganito, baka pwede mo dagdagan to, yung mga ganon. So I'm sharing what you have experienced so that they could learn, and that they could give feedback to me as well, and then in the process, we all learn from each other's experience.
Right. Right.
All right? So let me just share my screen just to the audience. Give me a few more minutes before I give you Dr. Ray for the exciting discussion later.
Sige.
Okay, let me just share my screen.
Yeah, you can share now your screen. Yan.
I will not go through all of that. There are 7 slides, but I will only be sharing 3. Okay. How are we during the ECQ? This is the Enhanced Community Quarantine last March, and right now we are also on an Enhanced Community Quarantine, although we've heard from social media this afternoon that tomorrow, Metro Manila, Calabarzon, and some other nearby areas will be back on MECQ. But we will have to wait for the updated guideline. I think there is an updated guideline. So just to share with you, this is the experience of Miramed Philippines. Miramed is, of course, a healthcare BPO that is operational in the US, India, and in the Philippines. The Philippines, we are located in Ortigas. We have about 700 family members in the company, mostly nurses. So the picture that's showing there is when the lockdown was declared. And so what we did is to immediately, take down the units, the computers, and distribute it at home. That's me distributing some computers to our employees, because public transportation is not allowed, right? So what we did, we have to quit to act quickly, and I use personal vehicles to actually distribute so that to be able to reach our employees. So what we did, what's going on in our minds? First is that we needed to understand the situation. So in everything that we do naman, diba, let's say in this pandemic, we needed to understand the situation, get ourselves informed, even though there are conflicting information that we're getting, there are new information that we're getting there, and by the next day, the information that we know right now may not be applicable anymore. But at any rate, we have to help ourselves to be equipped with the information and assess and analyze that information. What is it that's helpful to us, and what are those information that are just adding to the noise that we should just ignore. So that's part of understanding the situation. We had to understand the situation so that we will be able to make proper decision. Second, we have to champion change mindset. Easier said than done, because what's going on in our mind, hindi naman natin pwedeng bigla na lang tayo mag-push ng button or mag-tweak ng button, then and suddenly we have that kind of change mindset already. What I'm trying to say here is that we should be open to to doing things differently, because this is a time wherein we are experiencing it for the first time. And so what worked before may not be may not work in this particular scenario. So that's what we did. We championed a change mindset, meaning we had to be creative, we had to act quickly, and we had to decide fast and act on it as quickly as possible. Third, as part of an organization, and everyone else watching, lahat naman tayo member ng organization, di ba? That could be a company, an organization, a corporation. An organization is also a family unit. Diba? An organization is composed of people which has a structure. And a family is composed of people that has a structure. You have a mother, you have a father, you have a kuya, an ate, a lolo, a tito. So each of those titles have certain responsibilities. In the corporate setting, you have your manager, you have your supervisor, you have your specialist. So there are certain roles that you're doing. And so what does that mean for the leaders, let's say in the company, for managers? What does that mean for the tatay and the nanay at home?
Yeah.
Because everyone else is having this ambiguity, this confusion. So we needed to provide clarity and accountability. Every decision that we did, there is a communication line that has to be followed so that everybody is on the same page. Kasi, di ba, in a corporate setting, kapag may merong scenario na bago, lahat confused, di ba? So magtatanong sila na magtatanong, and we owe it to our employees, to our members, to our family members, to provide the kind of information that would make them at ease. Even though it's a difficult time, but panic is not going to help. Yeah. And so there has to be clear communication line as well as accountability. So those are the thinking that we had. Even now, we're still under ECQ. So at this point, we are still having this four what do you call that, mindsets, so to speak. Lastly, care, communication, and commitment. Everybody is suffering. So when people would come to you and tell you some problems, you should be able to, provide something that would uplift them. Not necessarily naman that it be, but whatever help that you can, most especially on the communication side and the understanding side. You have to understand that not everyone is on the same page in this particular scenario. Not everyone is coping in the same way that you are coping. That's why you have to adjust your expectation. You have to help one person differently as compared to another. You have to communicate with care. But you have to communicate with clarity as well. And of course, there's always that kind of commitment that you should be doing for the betterment of everybody else. The sincerity of it all, everyone could see that. Right? So these are the four things that help us, survive the pandemic as an organization. And it's still ongoing. I'm just sharing this for everybody else. And of course, feel free to provide your comments, the ones listening and watching on Facebook. Again, we would like to hear from you, any reaction, any comment, so that we're all in this together, so that we'll be able to help one another.
Right.
All right. So, and then what's on our mind at this point in time? Ano nga ba yung pumapasok sa isip natin na merong isang sitwasyon na hindi natin maintindihan at hindi natin alam kung paano matatapos, di ba? So, in a corporate setting, siyempre isipin natin, ay, hindi na makakapasok yung mga tao, di ba?
Yeah.
So these are the problems that first comes in. Productivity. Kung hindi ka naman makakapasok yung tao, siyempre productivity is down. Economics would also be down. But we could always, try to assess that with asking when, what, how. Meaning, what is this? When is the changes going to happen? What are the changes that are happening, and how are we going to adjust? That is why, remember, marami mga computer kanina sa picture. Hindi kami makakapasok sa office, di ba? But we have to continue living. There is a commitment that we have to that we have with our employees, that they trusted us to provide a career for them, to provide them livelihood, and so we must ensure that they are equipped at home. Hindi sila makakapasok, sige, dalhin natin sa bahay nila yung opportunity to continue to earn despite the condition that we're having. And so and what else is going against productivity? Procrastination, for example. Siyempre, pag nasa bahay tayo, di ba, we are working from home, maraming mga bagay na kakaiba sa office. Kasi sa office, focus tayo sa productivity. Pero sa bahay, hindi. Andyan dito yung aso ko sa tabi ko. At dito yung pusa ko kanina. Yan, dito sila. And sometimes, pag nasa office side, di ba, hindi natin kontrolado yung mapapanood natin sa TV. But this time, may TV sa bahay, may TV sa sala, may TV sa kwarto, may TV sa banyo. So nandun lahat ng opportunity to procrastinate. So that is something na nire-remind namin yung mga employees namin and everybody else actually, that you own your time, but we trust that you are going to be mature enough to actually be productive at home. So that's one area of concern that we have. First is the productivity. How we're going to continue that. So we continue that by channeling the work from the office to their houses. It's difficult as well to have focus. Diba? May mga conflicts na nangyayari katulad ngayon. Diba, nandito ako, we're having this radio broadcast and marami nanonood, pero nandun yung TV ko. So pag may nakikita akong flashes of light na gumagano, napapatingin ako. So that's one. So there are conflicts that are happening, and sometimes pag nasa bahay tayo, di ba? Mag-aaway si ate, si kuya, si bunso at yung alaga natin, mga ganun. Those types of conflicts, di ba? So that hinders us from providing focus. And so, but we would want to put this out in the open so that everybody would be aware that this is what hinders you from providing focus, and so you have to work on it. All right? There would be disruptors as well. Pag nasa bahay tayo, may mga dumadaan na sasakyan sa kalsada.
True.
Di ba? Pagka may meeting tayo, nakakahiya na biglang tutunog yung nagtitinda ng taho or ng ano ba yun? Kwek-kwek, for example. Di ba? Yung mga ganon, may mga disruptors. Minsan, kakatok yung nag-deliver sa atin ang in-order natin sa online, sa Lazada or sa Shopee, and whichever platform, di ba? So yung mga ganon. So we have to be wary about that as well. And the environment as well. The home environment is not built for work. That is why it's home, diba?
Yeah.
So, but then again, we have to make do with what we have, and this is what we are advising our employees, that these are the things that you should look out for. How can we help? Yung mga ganon. Yung iba, pinadalhan namin ng mga ergonomic chairs if possible, diba? Para lang mas madali sa kanila na magtrabaho. Anyway, they're using that at home. Diba? I mean, they're using that in the office, and might as well, you can use that at home.
Ako
diba?
rin, Marbs, pwede mo rin ako padalhan.
Hindi ka naman employee ng Miramed so mag-apply ka muna doon.
Friends naman tayo Ay, sino yun? Si Gucci ba yun?
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry
Okay
about
lang
that.
yun yung isa sa mga disruptors.
That's what I'm talking about. There would be some disruptors. Alright? And so, on the new normal, how can we adjust from the setup that we have going into the new normal? There was a time, di ba, na itong new normal na to is is very common. Bigla na lang nilang sinasabi na, new normal, ang daming topics, ang daming seminar on what is the new normal.
Correct.
Mga ganon. So, sige, let's dwell on that. So, how can you shift from your current way of doing things to a new way of doing things? Again, first and foremost, change management. In the corporate setting, change management is easy because there would be some geniuses, there would be some experts that would do that. One of that is Dr. Ray, di ba?
Yes.
The change management. But what is really change management? It's basically a plan that would help everybody to jump from point A to point B. What does that entail? A lot of communication, a lot of assessment, a lot of focus group discussion so that everybody is going to be the same page. And what does this communication entail? And what does this focus group discussion would require us? Basically, help needed. What is it that you as an employee, that we as management, that you as a nanay or as a tatay, and you as a ate or kuya would help so that you'll be able to adjust.
Yeah.
Again, change management is not just about the corporate setting. It's also at home. Kung nasa bahay ka, lahat kayo, di ba, yung iba, pumapasok sa office, mga ganon. Lahat, nanay, tatay, pumapasok sa office. Si kuya, magtatrabaho. Si ate, nagtatrabaho. Si bunso, or si pangalawang bunso, kung meron mang ganun term, papasok sa school. And suddenly, nakita natin na lahat tayo, hindi tayo papasok sa office. Kasi mag-work from home tayo. Lahat tayo hindi papasok sa eskwela kasi tayo ay mag-aaral sa bahay. So, ano yung mga adjustment natin na kailangan gawin? Yung computer bandwidth nyo ba, yung internet bandwidth nyo ba, kayang i-accommodate si kuya at si ate habang nag-work from home sila? Or si bunso habang nag-i-study at home? Yung mga ganon. So, these are the things that you have to adjust so that you'll be able. I don't know how to really meron tayong mga peculiarity na kanya-kanya, so you have to work it out yourselves, but of course seek help on who can seek help, kasi pagka personal na, di ba, sa mga bahay na ganung setup, medyo kayo-kayo na lang muna ang mag-solve niyan kasi we're all in this together. Sa corporate setting, meron mga tao na in charge of doing that, fortunately. What else? New process. How do you communicate a new process? What are the current, and basically when we say current, that would mean old way of doing things. Yeah. And in a new setup, what are the new way of doing things? Ngayon, wala ka ng some of the adjustment you have to take is wala ka ng travel time. Mga ganon. Diba? Mag-meeting ka sa office. So, ano bang ibig sabihin yan? You have to be well-versed in web applications. So, these are the things that you have to learn. Paano ba gumamit ng Zoom? Paano gumamit ng team meetings? Paano gumamit ng whatever application that you're using? So, part of that, you have to communicate the new process, and you have to educate everybody else so that they'll be able to, to help. Kasi sometimes ibang company pa nag-provide pa sila ng seminar on doing Zoom meetings.
Oh,
diba?
Okay.
Siguro sa iba madali lang yon, pero hindi naman lahat techy, diba?
That's
and
right.
For example, what are the things that are necessary para makapag-set up ka ng Zoom, laptop, cell phone, and all of that? Ano mga connectivity? So these are part of those training that should be provided. In the new normal, what would come? There would be a personal crisis that would happen. Syempre, katulad ngayon, masyado na tayong nalulungkot sa bahay. That's a personal crisis kasi this is something new. Hindi natin to alam. Hanggang kailan ba tayo ganito? Bored na tayo sa bahay. Marami na nagkakasakit. And some of us have lost our relatives as well. So these things, merong pandemic, may mga nagkasakit, may mga nawala na mahal natin sa buhay. Dagdagan pa natin ng walang assurance kung kailan tayo makakabalik sa trabaho, yung mga businessman, for example, or yung mga small enterprises lang, mga sari-sari store, hindi rin natin alam kung hanggang kailan to. Hanggang kailan pa natin kaya sustain na yung ganitong klaseng lifestyle na less yung ating income. And for some, walang income.
Right.
Diba? Nagkakasakit lang nga tayo, wala pa tayong opportunity to earn a living so that we'll be able to buy medicine. And that becomes part of personal crisis. So these are the things that we should also look out for and try to help as much as possible. And if you're working, you're lucky because company provides healthcare benefits, for example, and HMO covers COVID. Even if I'm not mistaken, Pag-ibig covers COVID as PhilHealth, not Pag-ibig, will cover yeah. But PhilHealth works for those people who are also working. I'm not sure if everybody else could take advantage of PhilHealth. I hope they can. And so, but on a corporate setting, what are some personality crises that usually happens? There is the capability gap. This is what I'm telling about. Others are not deadly. They cannot, so you have to bridge that capability gap. Yung iba hindi kaya sanay na nagiging productive sila kapag nakakita sila ng coworker nila. Diba? Diba? So yung mga ganon, siguro sa atin mababaw lang, but it is true for other people. And so you have to provide some help on how to bridge that gap. Kung hindi ka sanay sa ganito klaseng work setup, di ka usap tayo. Paano kita matutulungan para maging productive ka ulit sa bahay? Or kung nasa amang location ka. Hindi ka sanay gumamit ng web applications, ito yung training for that para magpatuloy pa rin yung productivity mo so that you'll be able to provide for yourself and for your family. And there's always the fear of the future. Even me, I have that. Di ba? Hanggang kailan itong pandemic na to? Hanggang kailan siya matatapos? Masusustain ko ba yung business ko? Masusustain ko ba yung operation ng company ko? Ang laki na ng ginagastos ko sa transportation. I mean, may mga pumapasok kasi sa office, di ba? And we are providing transportation for that. And hatid sundo ito sa bahay. And of course, there would be some, cost implications with that. So, yung mga ganung bagay, and fear of the future, parang hindi ata bumababa yung number of positive cases ng COVID. Bakit ganon? Isang taon na to, bakit hindi pa rin siya bumababa? Yung mga ganon, hanggang ano ba yung learning gap ng mga Pilipino? Bakit hindi natin kaya siyang ma-solve? Hindi katulad ng ibang bansa na medyo nagiging okay na sila at this point in time. Pero tayo, tumataas yung ating cases. So that becomes part of the fear of the future. What is not working? And alam na nga natin na meron tayong problema. What adds to the fear of the future is that kapag hindi tayo nakakakita ng credible solution. And at this point in time, we have to accept that. Na wala tayong nakikitang credible solution at this point. And so that adds to the anxiety. So, yung ibang tao, medyo lucky sila that they have safety nets. Pero hindi lahat ng Pilipino may ganon. Majority of our workers are earning 25,000 and less. And some of them are earning on a daily basis. Wala silang safety net. Kawawa. Kaya sana magkaroon na ng solusyon ito, no? Itong ganitong bagay. So, but what I'm saying is that these are the things that adds to the problems of the fear of the future. All right? And then lastly, what are we needed to check on a daily basis on how to help ourselves? These are the day-to-day choices. If you're working from home or whatever that you're doing, again, di ba sinabi kanina na marami tayong disruptors, marami tayong focus areas, you have to determine which is priority. And ano yung mga bagay na you could slide down in terms of prioritization, and what are the things that just basically adds to the noise and are not helpful. There is no need to respond to everything that asks for attention. Know the rocks from the gravel. Di ba? The rocks is the more important things. And then yung graba is, it's maliliit lang siya na butil na hindi mo naman siya kailangang pansinin at this point. Focus on the rocks because that has the bigger impact. you cannot solve everything all at once. What would help you is that put up a plan, determine which is priority and which is something that you could control. Kasi kapag marami kang disruptors and then marami kang problema, pwede ka ma-put down eh. Kasi so, dagdag. So it adds to your mentality that I am helpless. And so how can you help yourself? Solve the problem by focusing on it one by one. Focus on the things that you could work on, and then seek help for those problems that you don't have any control over. And then, determine which is priority. Make sense of technology and tools at this point. Katulad kanina, before we go live, nagpapatulong kay DJ Gale. Paano ba itong gumagana itong microphone na to? Paano ito gumagana itong mga pinipindot-pindot na to? Actually, hindi pa nga siya gumagana kasi hindi ko alam siyang gamitin. But I hope the mic works. It's working naman. So but the other thing, yung mga pinipindot here is, I don't know how it works. But I have to make sense of that so that I could be more effective in communicating what I need to communicate. Right. In the same way that if you don't know Zoom, if you don't know computer bandwidth, if you don't know team meetings, hindi naman pwede na sasabihin mo lang na hindi ko alam. Seek help.
Yep.
Diba? So that you'll be able to learn. What are at your disposal? What are the technology that you can use? Laging nagpapatawag ng meeting si boss. Hindi nga ako marunong. So magda-download ka ng mga app na kailanganin mo, di ba? It's not that you are helpless naman. Everything is out there. You just basically have to help yourself to learn about it. And if you cannot, seek help from workers, from your ate, from your kuya, from your dad or your mom, whomever. What are those that you need? If you don't communicate what you need, others will not be able to know it.
Yeah.
And they will not be able to help you. So if you need help, communicate it. Hindi naman darating yung tulong kasi nasa isip mo lang eh. Diba? Darating yung tulong kapag ka-verbalize mo siya. Na ganito yung kakailanganin kong tulong. And what are those that are simply unnecessary? Again, focus. I-let go muna ibang bagay na hindi naman siya kakailanganin. Yeah. And from time to time, check yourself. And that is why we have this particular session so that we could have that knowledge on what are the things that we have to check on to make sure that we are still functioning as a human being. No? What would you do under normal circumstance? In this particular situation, may ganitong sitwasyon, ano ba yung normally gagawin ko para on a regular time? Pero applicable pa siya ngayon. Ay, hindi siya applicable, so I have to tweak it. Ay, applicable pa rin pala siya. Ito yung ginagawa ko dati, pwede ko pa rin siyang gawin ngayon. We have to assess. But if not, again, be creative. And look out for signs of burnout. And probably Dr. Ray would be the better person to help us. And what are those signs of burnout? And then reach out for help. Ano ba yung mga klaseng help na kailangan mo, na tulong mo? Kasi dati pare-pareho naman tayo ng generation, no? During the 1990s, no? Or early 2000s, 1980s. Di ba kapag may problema tayo, nalulungkot tayo. And at that point in time, para sa atin, ay, nalulungkot lang ako. Pero ngayon pala hindi. You could actually be clinically depressed. Pero nung kinalakihan ko, lungkot lang yon. Pero ngayon iba na. We have to know that. We have to learn about that so that proper help will be able to do. Minsan nga naisip natin, baka naman masyado na lang wala ko better term arte yung generation ngayon na ay depressed ako kasi ganyan-ganyan. Eh sa atin, baka naman nalulungkot ka lang. Yung ganon. Diba? So hindi natin, I'm not an expert on that one, but and I'm not discounting. Siguro nagkaiba lang ng generation that we came from. And may mga bagong learnings that has happened along the way that would necessitate a certain kind of remedy to a particular problem that are not possible during the earlier times. All right? So probably that is one thing that we could discuss later on. And again, I hope everybody is listening and are able to ask questions so that we could have a more meaningful discussion. Again, um, seek help and communicate what you need. How do you keep afloat? Awareness. This is the last slide. Um, Understand yourself in the situation and leverage on relationship. In this particular case, um, um, find outlet that would help you, release tensions that are out there and seek help. Baka meron ka mga kaibigan dyan na makakatulong sa'yo that are really experts on their field that could help you, um, you know, navigate this uncertain time.
Yeah.
Second, focus, prioritize the necessary, fuel productivity, and remove distraction. And lastly, whatever is your learning, whatever things that you have been made aware of, and whatever things that you have decided to focus on, you have to take action. Hindi lang pwedeng nasa mind mo lang siya. You have to take one step, no matter how small that step is, that is still better than not having any step at all. So, part of action that you can do, you engage with others so that hindi ka na lang malulungkot sa bahay mo. And if you can, you coach others as well. Kasi when you do coaching, that means you are communicating, you are imparting some knowledge, but in the process, you're also learning from the experience of others. You have to enrich, and in that way, you're able to enrich the lives of others as well as yours. And lastly, if you need to pause. You need to clarify if the things that you're doing still make sense. And then you have to decide that these are the things that I have to continue doing, and these are the things that I have to stop doing because it's not helping. All right?
Yeah.
So
Very
there.
nice presentation. Thank you, Marvin. Dami
Nice.
ko na naman natututunan. Wow. Amazing. Yeah.
All right. So I hope everybody is able to learn a bit about what Mirabet has experienced. And we are still in this situation. Feel free to ask help. And that is the purpose of this, radio program, so that we'll be able to reach out to as many people as possible so that we'll be able to communicate what we think is helpful to everybody else. But so that we'll become more effective, it would be better if others would communicate back and ask questions on how we could actually help them.
Yeah. I think kayo yung kayo yung isa sa mga pinaka first na BPO na umaksyon agad when the lockdown happened. Kasi nakita ko yung mga posts mo eh. On that certain day, lockdown siya, ganun kaagad ginawa. Yung iba, hindi pa eh. Parang it took them few weeks pa bago nila ginawa yun, like work from home or something. Pero
That's
sila,
true. And that is,
talaga.
And that is a lesson on agility. The bigger the organization, the difficult it is for them to decide. Kasi maraming levels, di ba?
Okay.
So, but you have to be agile. That's one thing. So that you'll be able to address a specific situation as it comes on a timely manner.
That's very nice.
That's a great learning, no, Marvin?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Right.
That's a great learning, and then when I actually learned a lot from your presentation and how you guys, as leaders, responded to the situation, and I believe that's something that other organizations or companies can also emulate, right? In what you did, you just mentioned yung word na agility, because a lot of leaders, like from around the globe and even from all of the companies, they will be they're saying, okay, we need to be agile and all of that, but how do you demonstrate that agility? So I believe that's one of the situations we're in. Yeah, that's correct. It's specific, right? Specific, that you're able to really respond to that situation, and you're able to use that, the term agility in action. Unlike, you just tell, people that we have to be agile. It's same thing, right? I mean, other leaders would be saying, we have to be digital. And then
But
they're
how?
telling people we have to be digital, right? And then at the end of the day, yung pala hindi naman marunong gumamit ng Zoom. And then they're not open to using Zoom. Or you have to be digital, but your ways are actually analog. Like say for instance, right? they're going to say be digital and then use this specific tool, or you have to use sabihin at MS Teams or WebEx. And then in terms of note taking, makikita mo notebook pa din yung ginagamit, like the actual
Right.
notebook, right? And because if you are going to say that, then you have to use the digital, like the iPad and all of that. And then
You
I
have to
think
walk the talk.
that's correct. And then looking at it on a larger scale of things about what happened like last year, and we are now more than a year in this type of pandemic, because this
Yeah.
is global, right? In terms of its scale. And I know all of the leaders in the world, like what you did, Marvin, and other leaders in your organization, they really responded to the pandemic, that situation, right? The best way that they could think of
True.
on how they can help, the employees. And I believe one of the good things that I've seen in that situation is that parang mas naging compassionate, di ba? Naging
Yes.
more compassionate yung mga leaders. Parang mas naging soft yung mga hearts of the leaders. Like before, they were okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. Yeah, we are more of pushing for productivity. But right now, we become more compassionate. We become more understanding in terms of, okay, in the work from home, I mean, in the office setup, almost probably it's so easy to communicate that and then to do things. But then again, when we shifted to work from home, there's a lot of issues pala, right? And
Right.
then there's a lot of understanding. Parang it's also a huge learning or a huge wake up call as well to all of the leaders. I most probably all of the leaders who are watching right now. It's a huge wake up call. I mean, to us as well. That's what we did. Um, but there were also things that we did like in the during that course of time that last year, diba, no Marvin, that contributed to the burnout as well of the people. Like say for instance, that for the first month, second month of or third month of the pandemic, parang the feedback that you will be hearing from the employees or the people is that naboburnout sila. It's because parang mas sumaba ata yung work ko, right?
No,
parang
totoo.
parang
And
even over the weekend may mga meetings and all of that
Mm.
pinapatawag, right? And
and also there is this,
mm,
I just want to point it out, webinar. There's so many webinars that are happening right every now and then.
mm,
Ang sinasabi ko sa mga tao, just choose what is really working for you. Kasi biglang
Oo.
dumami and it adds to the burnout eh.
Mm-mm.
Yung
exactly.
mga webinars na hindi naman kailangan.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, as, part of the leadership team, the good thing is, at least after some time, we really, heard or listened to the voices of our employees. Kasi, di ba, it's so easy for us to provide anything that we can think of and for the good of our employees, but not really thinking, ay, yung pala naging impact dun sa employees natin, that we
Right.
bombarded them, we overwhelmed them with so many information. And as you mentioned, di ba, earlier, Marvin, so at least, as an employee or maybe as a humans, especially in this type of setup like pandemic, right? Working from home and all of that, we need to be able to distinguish what is that rock, what is that gravel, what is that
Right.
signal, what is that noise. And I believe those are a lot of contributing factors why people, get burnt out in this type of situation. So nagre-rise talaga siya. And there's a lot of kumbaga exhaustion, 'di ba? Yung
Yes.
pagkapagod, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. And a lot of people really reported that kind of situation.
Oo.
And
Yeah.
thank you so much, I mean, for Miramed, that you're able to really respond as quickly as you can,
Mm-hmm.
and keep on. And you're open. You have that listening mechanism, diba, to your employees, and keep on listening to them, because that's how you'll get to where you need to be in this type of situation. Although
Right.
yung remote work, diba, it's not something new to everyone. I just to
That's right.
call that
That's
that
right.
it's not something new to everyone. However, but looking at it globally, and then with this pandemic, we realize ay kaya pala natin gawin
Kaya
yun,
naman
di
pala.
ba?
Yeah.
So
So,
these are the things na baka mabago na with the way we do things now in the corporate world. Kasi
Oo.
right now we are forced to work from home. And suddenly, pwede naman pala. And baka naman pag naging normal na tayo, we have to assess itself. What are the work that can be retained at home?
Oo.
Kasi it would make sense eh. Especially in the Philippines na grabe yung traffic.
Traffic.
So
Correct.
better na nagtatrabaho ka sa bahay. On the employee side, di ba, that's good kasi they get to spend more time at home, whatever they needed to do. 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of travel time na nasasayang on a daily basis. On the part naman of the company, it's also helpful because they don't have to pay for real estate rentals. Diba? Siguro you could provide other types of benefits as befits a work from home, like a work from home allowance. Pero pwede mo rin tanggalin yung ibang allowances na hindi na rin necessary, like transportation allowance. Bakit kung alam mo ka pa transportation allowance kung nagtatrabaho ka naman sa bahay? Ganun. It's a give and take. It's a give and take. So yung mga ganun. So it's a good discussion. Thank you for that one. And after this one, probably Gail, we would have to pause for some break. We could play a little bit music, and then we'll have our guest, Dr. Ray Fremista, talk about a little about mind grid, mind setting, and motivation. And I hope we get the ball rolling with our audience as they listen to us and ask questions later on.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much, Marvin, Doc Ray. Mga kaibigan, ano pa lang yun? Tip pa lang yun of the iceberg. Yung sinasabi kanina nila Marvin and Doc Ray. We'll have more of it. Talagang dig deeper tayo dun sa mind grid, motivation, and mind setting when we come back. I just want to share this song with you. It's Magkaibigan. This one's from Randy Raimundo, Chuck Abello, Andre Soler, and Maki Aceda. It really actually talks about friendship, and this is a very nice song. So I'd like to share this one with all of my friends out there, my family, and of course to you guys, Doc Ray and Marvin. This one's for you.
Saan man kayo, laging tandaan na nandirito lang kami. Karangalan natin ang inyong tagumpay sa inyong paglalakbay.
Saan man tayo, ibalita natin ang ating tagumpay. Alang-alang sa barkadang nakasubaybay at handang umalalay.
Tayo'y sama-sama sa hirap at ginhawa. Magkaibigan, habang buhay, kahit tayo'y mahiwalay, dito lang kami nakaalalay.
Magkaagapay, isang pamilyang magkakaakbay, kapit kamay, magkasama sa ligay at magkaramay sa lumbay. Magkaibigan habang buhay, saan man kayo, lagi niyong isipin ang ating pinagmulan. Magbabarkadang tunay noon hanggang ngayon at sa habang panahon.
Saan man tayo, alagaan natin ang ating samahan. Malakas, walang katumbas at walang iwanan, at laging maaasahan.
Tayo'y sama-sama sa hirap at ginhawa. Magkaibigan, habang buhay, kahit tayo'y mahiwalay, dito lang kami nakaalalay. dito lang kami. Tayo'y sama-sama sa hirap at ginhawa. Magkaibigan, habang buhay, kahit tayo'y mahiwalay, dito lang kami nakaalalay.
Magkaagapay, isang pamilyang magkakaakbay, kapit kamay, magkasama sa ligay at magkaramay sa lumbay. Sa isa't isa tayo nakasalalay, ito'y matibay, ito'y mahusay. Kapatirang di mamamatay, magkaibigan habang buhay.
All right. Welcome back. Of course, Good Vibes Sunday still with Marvin Rodriguez and Dr. Ray. Welcome back, guys. Ayan, pag-uusapan
All right.
natin. Mm-hmm.
Now we go to the most awaited part of ano nga ba itong mind grit na sinasabi na to, and how do we motivate ourselves, self-motivation kumbaga, and and how do we do mind setting. I remember a few years back, siguro mga 2-3 or about that time, 2-3 years ago, I first encountered the word mind grit from Dr. Paul Stoltz. I've met him personally when he visited the Philippines, and I was invited as one of the participants in the talk of Dr. Paul Stoltz, done by our good friends at Adventist Asia. And so that's the first that I learned about it, mind grit. Although it was just a 2-hour discussion, and there's a lot of concept and a seminar type that Dr. Stoltz has done. What I remembered is that mind grit is about tenacity. It's about overcoming problems. It's about the adversity quotient that they have mentioned, and these are some concepts that are new to us, and probably Dr. Ray would be able to help us shed more information so that we'll be more enlightened about these concepts that are happening now, especially at this point that our main tool to get by through this pandemic is actually our mind, and how we're able to pivot that again to something that would be beneficial in our day-to-day lives. All right, so without further ado, let's call on our very special guest for today's session, Dr. Ray Premista.
Yeah, there you go, Dr. Ray. Pa-shoutout daw, Kali Isidro Odong. Obong, sorry. Kali Isidro Obong, hello to you. Thank you for watching.
Hello, Kali Isidro Obong is my classmate in Rotary. He's also a Rotary Club president, I think in Parañaque. Okay. Parañaque Central, if I'm not mistaken. Hello, classmate June.
Hello. Ayun.
All right.
There you go.
All right, Dr. Ray, it's been long awaited. Thank you for being with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marvin, and thank you so much, Gail.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very good discussion earlier when it comes to how are we dealing with this pandemic as leaders, and then most probably as humans, right? Just want to share with you that when I'm talking about this mind grit, this is a project of mine. I mean, for the past couple of years, so I've been advocating this mind grit. It came from the term. This actually came from Angela Duckworth. I mean, the word grit, and what she mentioned is sustained persistence and passion achieving that long-term goal. So that's what we mean by grit. And then when I was looking for a specific term that I can use for my own passion project, so this is where mind grit really emerged. So that's mind grit. And for me, it's not just about grit, but it's a combination of your mind as well as your grit. It's because our mind is really powerful. Earlier I was listening to Marvin, and there were a lot of conversations, sabi nga natin, right? I mean, from our employees, and most probably from a lot of people, that they're bored, they don't know what to do anymore, they're stuck in their home and all of that. But from this perspective, if you are centered with, your goal, if you're centered with, you're motivated, you're inspired and all of that, so you're not gonna get to that situation, I mean, for long. Maybe for X number, maybe maikli lang siya, right? It's just a temporary thing. And if you have that grit, if you have that mind grit, then you will be saying to yourself that, okay, this is just temporary, and then after some time, then I'll get back to, maybe my life would be different, like after this pandemic, but at least, I'm still motivated, I'm still inspired to get to where I need to be. And our mind is really powerful, powerful in such a way that what you tell to your mind becomes the reality. Like, say for instance, if you keep on telling, okay, I'm stuck at home, I don't know what to do anymore, then it will help you to get you more evidences of that something that you've been thinking. So your thoughts are really powerful. Say for instance, if
Okay.
you keep on saying, okay, I'm stuck at home and all of that, or sabihin natin, oh, there's nothing that's happening right here in our country, blah blah, and then you're going to look at, ano ba yan? Ito naman, same situation and all of that. Then your mind will help you find kung ano yung mga iniisip mo na yon, right? It's because according to, tinutulungan ka lang ng mind because, okay, yun palang gusto mo, then I'll give it to you. So in
Okay.
general, so that's how powerful your mind is. That's what we call the reticular activating system in our mind. So the more that you look for it, the more that you think about it, the more that it becomes your reality. That's why, right? If you keep on looking at, the negative side of life, that's the only thing that you'll be getting more, right? It's a simple concept wherein this is the negative, or this is your input and this is your output, whatever it is that, that comes through that input, and that's something that you will process. Ano yung expect natin? Same thing, right? If it's negative, input is negative, positive will be the output. If you keep on thinking small, then small din yung lalabas dyan. If you keep on thinking big, then big din yung lalabas dito. So in the entirety of the mind grid, the concept of mind grid, so that's what it's all about. It's really more of really reprogramming, right? Reprogramming your thinking, your thoughts, reprogramming on your brain. So that's what mind grid is all about. Mind is very important, but you have to do something about it. As mentioned by Marvin earlier, you have to take action. So that's what grit is all about. So it's not just all about thinking, but you have to do something about it. So at this point, I believe I have a lot of videos that I uploaded in my YouTube channel. So that's the Mind Grit by Dr. Ray from Mista. And I've been talking about, how do you get motivated when you're not motivated at all? So how do you get inspired when you're not inspired at all? So those are the types of topic that I've been, advocating for quite some time. And there's a lot of good feedback that I've been getting that, hey, Ray, maybe you need to create more of those topics because those topics are actually helping us. They're inspired with all of the contents that I've been creating, and I'm so happy about that because it's a passion project of mine,
Right.
and that is something that I really want to resonate to a lot of people. That even in this type of situation, in this pandemic, that you can really achieve the goal that you want to achieve in life. You just have to be maybe in the meantime, you just have to be patient, and you have to prepare for maybe right after the pandemic, or right now you can prepare. There's a lot of videos that I uploaded in my channel regarding how do you become productive at work while you are in a work from home setup. And there's also a lot of things that I talk about and how do you become more positive, like on a daily basis. Because at the end of the day, we only have one life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One life that we have to live. And you have to live it like you really love your life. And loving your life meaning you don't need to focus more on the negative side of life, but you don't close your eyes definitely to the reality, but you're just choosing to be positive. So that's what mind grit is all about. But at this point in time, I know there's a lot of people who are most probably down, especially in this type of pandemic, lalo na, di ba, na-extend na naman si
Yes.
ECQ. But for me, looking at that from that perspective, so these are, I prepared like 5 things that maybe you can do that can help you become more positive in life. And being positive in life is really important. Um, yan. Sorry. Yan, okay. Okay, so 5 simple ways to become more positive in life. And this is very important for you to become more, to become grittier in life, right? To become mind grittier in life. So researchers have been exploring for decades the impact of positive thinking. So most probably, baka naman, ba, a lot of people say, ang parang hirap na ba maging positive with this type of situation, di ba? A lot of people will tell you that. And I also got like a piece of feedback regarding the, oh Ray, you know what? I like your video, pero ang hirap maging ganun eh. But you have to listen to yourself, di ba? What I mentioned earlier. If that's your thinking, ang hirap naman. So ganun din, hahanapan ka na naman ng brain kung ano yung evidences that relates to that ang hirap na yon. So the more na madami kang marireceive na, the more that you're gonna be bombarded with negativities in life. So you have to be aware. Self-aware is really important. You have to be aware of what you're thinking. And I believe during this time of pandemic, this is the perfect time for you to really look at your life. 'Di ba? X number of months, sabihin at nakatenga tayo right here in the comfort of our homes. And we have different types of homes. Sabi nga ni Marvin, there's a lot, may mga tao na, okay, you have a very good, sabihin natin, unit. But there are also a lot of people na hindi naman ganun comfortable, di ba, yung place. But I believe, no matter what the context is, kung saan kayo nakatira at this point, this is the perfect time to reassess your life, right? Life in general, like on a daily basis na lang. What I do is, before I proceed to sharing with you the 5 simple ways to become more positive in life. So I do yung meditation talaga. Like daily practice of doing meditation. It's because there's a lot. Number one, there's a lot of noise, di ba, in the environment. But you have to pause. You have to stop. Especially from you, Marvin, Gail, you are leaders. You've been dealing with a lot of, problems or most probably concerns, from the employees or other people. With the different types of events and all. So napaka-noisy talaga of our environment. The world itself is so noisy. That's why you have to make sure that your life is really centered and your life is, you have to pause because that's when you pause that you heal, di ba? That's where healing starts. And most of the time, di ba, pag nabu-burnout tayo, burnout, ang daming siya, daming mga symptoms. Like say for instance, yung sobrang pagkapagod or bigla ka lang hindi naging motivated sa work that you're doing, bumaba yung productivity, and all of those things. So those are the simple symptoms that we can see from a lot of people when it comes to burnout, especially if it's connected to the current situation or halo-halo na siya. It can be that, right? But for me, you have to pause. You have to be intentional. You have to have that conscious effort to pause. So that's one that I do. So meditation is really important so that you can become you and you can find your own self again by doing meditation on a daily basis. Second one is what I do is I just shared it in my last week in the recent video that I shared. Recent content. It's all about making use of your notebooks or your journal. You do journaling. A lot of people, um, maybe you're not maximizing the usage of the papers that you have at home, but journaling is really effective in terms of if you have some sort of mga mental health na mga issues, you've been thinking a lot of things, get the notebook. It helped me a lot. For the past couple of for mga 2 years ago, it helped me a lot yung pagsusulat talaga, journaling. So, but then you would be asking, so ano naman, Dr. Ray, yung susulat namin yan sa notebook na yun. So what do we journal, right? So, and how does it help you? Ganon. So those are the questions. So definitely. So you just have to start getting,
I have a question on that one, on the journaling.
Sure.
Does it also help that other people, instead of doing a journal, are finding an outlet in social media wherein they post what they're feeling? Does that count? Is that helpful?
Um, it can be counterproductive. And for me, no, from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective, it's because you're sharing your thoughts already to a lot of people. You're exposing your vulnerabilities to a lot of people, and a lot of people would have different take or different interpretation on what you're
Right.
posting in there. And most probably maybe that can add up to your anxiety.
Right, no,
Kapag
kapag ka
nagpo-post
nag-comment
ka.
yung ibang tao
Yes.
about something
Okay,
negative with
okay.
what you posted,
Mm-mm.
probably it would dampen your spirit further. No?
Exactly. And you will be, us as people, we judge the others. And
Right,
that's
right, right.
most of the time tendency of the people. And then when you post it right there, iba-iba talaga iisipin nila. So
Mm-mm.
for me, mas maganda nga nagdi-detox tayo pagdating sa social media.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, like on a weekly or monthly basis, so you would have that conscious talaga na effort to, stay away muna dun sa mga noise, right? So we
Oh,
have to
okay.
be able to distinguish what is the noise, what is the signal, or what is the information that we only need on that specific time. And if you
Right,
believe na masyadong bombarded ka na with so many things, that are happening in your environment, so you have to disconnect in
right.
such a way that i-off mo muna siya. Like, if it's social media ba, i-off mo. So for me kasi my principle in life, if it doesn't give you peace, then you have to discard that. You don't need that to your life, right?
True.
Okay.
Okay.
Agree with that.
So going to thank for that. That's a very good question actually, Marvin. Because sasabihin niya ng iba, oh, I don't like, writing ganon, but I like posting in Facebook, right? Unconsciously kasi parang nagiging part na siya ng daily life natin yung
Oo nga
going to
eh.
the Facebook,
Parang na
sharing a
siyang
lot of
diary.
things.
Oo.
Right. So maybe that's one of the things that you have to be disciplined as well. What are those things that you have to share lang dun sa social media space because you don't know how it's affecting other people as well. Maybe yung nakakita nun is may mga mental health issues din pala sila that parang ang nega naman ito, gano'n, nag-post yung gano'n, right?
Mm-mm.
Or it can either inspire other people or it can either also add up to their
Backfire.
anxiety. It can break them as well. So for me, it helped me a lot talaga to do journaling. I shared yung last na video ko last week that I'm using different types of notebooks talaga. So I have, ito nga, nilagay ko siya dito, right here. Lagi siya nasa tabi talaga ng table ko. So I have my own journal. So this one is my journal for, yan, this one. This one is my journal for personal talaga. Like anything, included na yung mga to-do list ko for the day and then journal as well. What happened on, what is the realization for the day. Yun. So this is that
Oh,
journal. I also
nice.
have that journal, di ba? Ang hilig ko kasi sa notebook. So meron ako journal na another one. This one naman is, this is the planner, right? I mean, ito naman ginagamit ko for specific to work. Pero within that
Okay.
work, I also put something because work can be really draining, right?
It is.
And then
It is.
you have to use it as well, not just as planner. Di ba, not every day we put our to-do list, especially kapag masyadong routinary na yung work, then you have to use your planner as a journal as well. Maybe you can doodle something in here, what you're feeling, I mean, during that specific mga heated discussions or meetings, and you can use that. And
Yeah.
then, this one is for pag nag-jot down naman ako for my mga podcast. I mean, pag nagre-reflect ako, whatever it is that I've heard, I've listened to, dito ko naman siya nilalagay. And then,
Wow.
meron din akong this one is the big one. This one, big one. What I used naman dito
Wow.
sa, ito naman yung for my goals in, meron pa actually
Oh,
scratch
okay.
paper.
But
So,
but it's quite true, no? You
oo.
have to write it down so that you'll be able to verbalize it so that it could
Mm-mm.
become true. Ito nga yung concept ng vision boards, di ba? The goals,
Yes, that's true.
you have to put it out there so that you communicate it and that you will be reminded on a daily basis that these are the things that I wanted to achieve and what are the things that I'm doing now that could actually help me achieve that.
Exactly. And there are a lot of things that you can, input in your journal. Maybe that's your next question about. Maybe you can
Mhm.
include in there number one, what are you grateful for the day? I mean, when you wake up in the morning or before you sleep, and you can use the journal. Another way is you can get a quote and then put it right there in the journal. What
Oo.
is your reflection about the quote? And another thing is that one, maybe okay, last time that I revisited my goals, yung maybe last week or last month, maybe this time isusulat ko na naman siya what happened, 'di ba? Yung I mean yung mga goals ko in life and other things, right? And what you're feeling anything on it. Yun,
Right.
sinusulat mo siya. But sasabihin mo naman would be, so ano yun? I mean, so what's happening? How does it help you? It actually helps you because nare-release mo actually lahat ng tensions mo when you write, and mas nagiging clear sa'yo in terms of what you're feeling and where you're coming from. And there's portion in there may, okay, that's why it happened. It's because of this and that. So that's where you realize that it's really working. I mean, from a mental health perspective, the journaling. And then what do you do with the previous yung mga pages, diba, na pinagsusulatan mo and all of that? So it's either you can go back definitely, but for me, I don't go back na dun sa mga pinagsusulat ko before. You just need to keep going and add more pages and add more inputs to your journal. So that's very effective.
Right.
Especially during this time. This is a perfect time that you can revisit, you know, who you are, what you need to achieve. And later on, there's a slide in here that I'll be sharing with you. So that's all about Ikigai naman. And for me,
Oh, okay.
that's a takeaway that I can share with you so that you can
Right.
really reflect on maybe right after right after our session for today or before
Yeah.
you sleep later. That's something that you can step back and look at your life from different perspective. Okay?
Wow.
Right. Right.
So that's one. So 5 simple ways to become more positive in life. So these are very simple talaga na ways on how you can um, do this. Okay? Yan. But before that, I just want to say that merong mga study pala na lumabas when it comes to positive thinking na mas humahaba daw yung lifespan of the people who think positively as compared to those who don't. So that's one of
Yeah.
the can be of value. I think, I mean, gusto kong ibigay yung kumbaga, i-share yung research about that. Aside from, the other benefits of positive thinking is that it can lower, from health perspective, it can lower your depression level, and you can have that higher resistance to a lot of diseases like yung common cold natin, diba, that's associated to that COVID.
Yeah.
So by just thinking positively, that can be a very good, sabihin natin, what do you call that, a very good na yung panangga. Okay, so the first one is, I mentioned earlier that one of the things that you can do with your journal is really to jot down all of the things that you can think of, maybe 3 things, maybe 5 things that you're grateful for the morning. So what are those things that you're grateful for? There's a lot actually. Sabihin natin, right now that you have the good health, okay, you're thinking that you're stuck at home, but you have that health, right?
Yeah.
You have your friends. I mean, other relatives are in the hospital beds, right? Other are really suffering, but you are there, you are healthy. That's something to be grateful for. You have good friends, and we have the Sunday. This is something to be grateful for.
Mhm.
We have our home. Maybe others have the opportunity to get an education. We have some people can, especially in the provinces, they can experience yung mga sunset, yung mga sunrise, di ba? So those are the things that we are grateful for. Even sabihin natin, thank you Lord for, di ba, meron ka pang eyes, di ba? When you wake up in the nagising ka pa, right? That's something that you have to be grateful for. So by just being grateful, you're actually reprogramming your mind. You are looking for evidences of what are those things that you're grateful for, and it keeps on looking for those evidences that you should be grateful for. So that's one. And the second one that I have in here, although we are restricted right now, diba, to enjoy nature. We are restricted right now to go out, may mga curfew pa and all of that. But enjoying nature, you can bring yung nature na yun, diba, inside your room. I know, Marvin, you mentioned earlier, medyo hindi, this is the opportunity most probably sa unit mo, Marvin, no, that you cannot, plant more plant more. Siguro mga indoor plants and all. So it
Right.
actually
Right.
helps you. And I've seen a lot of photos, di ba, nitong for the past, not just couple of months, but since last year, di ba, madami yung nag-arise yung mga hashtag na plantito, plantita.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
really helped them go through
Quite
life na,
expensive plants.
Expensive
yes,
lang. Oo, dati hindi
grabe.
naman sila expensive.
Sa probinsya ko sa Palawan, tinatapon ko lang yun dati, yung mga fortune plant. Tumutubo
Oo.
lang yun sa sa tabi ng kanal.
Exactly.
Tapos kaya nakita ko,
Exactly.
ang mamahal sobra. Sabi ko sa probinsya dati, hindi naman pinapansin to.
Totoo.
Exactly, Gail. And
Grabe.
di ba may mga ano din, may mga celebrities na nag-share ng mamahal talaga. Mas lalong
Yeah.
nagmahal.
Kaya nga, ay, solo.
Sabi ko parang ano yung iba, like 30,000 plus, di ba? Yung mga
Yeah.
price
Yung
ng
mga
iba, parang
malalaki
wow.
talaga daw yung yung mga dahon. Sabi ko, Diyos ko Lord, sa probinsya, ano lang naman yan? Kasi malaki yung maliit, wala na lang naman yan. Parang damo lang, di ba? Pero dito binebenta. Oh my
So
goodness.
baka add pa yan sa stress ng mga tao. So if I were you, if you would want to be a plantita or a plantita, you don't have to to compete with the more
Oo.
with the people na may mga mas marami resources. What is important is that you enjoy nature, and then
Correct.
you don't add
Yes.
further to your worries. Any plants would do naman di ba?
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Ako,
I
I just
agree with
wanna
that,
share
Marvin.
yung enjoying nature ko. Meron kasi kaming avocado, kahit na maliit yung space. It's been, 8 years na. Oh, nagbubunga na naman siya ngayon. So, na-enjoy ako pag nakikita ko siya. Kinakausap ko, hoy, magbunga ka pa. So, yun yung pinaka-nature ko dito. At least may puno sa harap. Yeah.
Alright.
Hindi
That's
ako masyadong
nice.
ma-plants. May konti lang, mabigay ng dad ko. Pero dun talaga ako sa avocado. Natutuwa ako sa kanya. So, yun.
Ako kung ano lang yung nasa table ko, may oranges and lemons ako sa dining table. So yun yung ano ko. Yun yung
Ano,
nature
puno?
ko. But it's,
Puno
Nice.
ba?
hindi, mga
Ay,
nabili
mga
lang sa
fruits.
SNR.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Okay. At
That's
least,
still
diba?
nice. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
pero it adds joy. Kasi ang ganda ng kulay the orange and the lemons. Pag pinagsama mo, yellow and orange. Ang ganda tingnan.
Yeah. It's really, really nice. Yeah.
Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you.
that's
Yeah.
true. Whatever works for you. It can be yung sinasabi nga ni Marvin, it adds joy. And there's a lot of empirical studies na sinasabi nga nila, scientifically proven that it can lower talaga your stress levels when it comes to just being surrounded with your nature, kahit ano pang form ng nature na yan, right? It
Yeah.
can also improve your working memory, and it can provide you that sense of kumbaga rejuvenation. So that's
Yeah.
nature. So next one is, this one's very important. I've seen a lot of this nung nag-hit talaga yung pandemic. Do random
Oh.
acts of kindness, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes, okay, nabubore ako sa home. Maybe I can look at, other people who need help, right? Maybe
Yeah.
in your own simple ways. Sabihin natin kaya, di ba, mas dumami yung mga webinars on all of those because there's a lot of people who are willing to share their knowledge, who are willing to donate their time to other people. So do
Just like
random
what you're
acts of
doing now.
kindness.
Diba?
Okay,
Just like
absolutely.
what
So
you're
this
doing
is
now.
my passion.
Yeah.
You're
Passion
sharing
project talaga
knowledge
siya.
Right,
that
right.
helps others.
That's true. And this one is very important, the number 4, yung take a mental break. So there are sometimes, diba, pag masyadong kanina sinabi natin, we can do yung mga detox, diba, social media detox. But there are times that, especially for the work from home setup, no, you have to pause. Maybe you have to schedule yung mga pauses na yon. And that's what mental break is all about. It's because you don't need to wait for that moment wherein sumabog ka na, right? So there are
Right.
times that are like that, na parang kung saan malapit ka na sumabog, doon ka na nag-focus more on dun sa side na yun ng life mo. But you can be more intentional in terms of, scheduling kailan ka mag-schedule yung mga breaks mo. So that's what we mean by mental break. And it's very important, especially these days. So you have to schedule it consciously. And then for the last one this is very important. And Marvin, most probably, the concept of this, to spend time with positive people.
Right,
And
right.
di ba meron tayong there's this quote that mentioned that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So if you keep on surrounding, or maybe right now, for all of the people who are watching, right, assess yourself. Who are those 5 people na lagi mong kasama? So most probably the average of those people, yung 5 people na yon, ikaw yon. So if you are surrounded with negative people or people who are thinking that this is the worst in the world, or we're not gonna get there to our goal, then you're gonna be that person, right?
That's
So
true.
you have to be conscious to spend more time with, select the people that you surround with. As I mentioned earlier, we only have one life, and then kung one life na yon, then maging ano ka, di ba? Maging mapili ka who are those people that you want to surround with. And then happiness is very contagious, so you need to be surrounded with people who are happy people as well, who look or who choose to look at life from a positive perspective or a more optimistic perspective rather than looking at the other side.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, this one, the Ikigai, this is a very
Wow.
good framework. Kanina, kaya dala-dala ko din ito, itong big notebook na to, is because I want to share with you on how you can do the
Ah,
Ikigai. When you go
yeah.
to, maybe before you end your day today, so you have to think of this ikigai. Ikigai is the reason for being. Maybe this is a perfect time to ask yourself, why am I here? Right here on earth, right? And most probably we're not asking that, that very personal question. And that's a meaningful question that you have to ask when it
True.
comes to our existence. And
Kasi it,
all you need to do is this one.
right.
Mag-prepare lang kayo ng isang table, ilagay nyo dito sa apat na
Yeah.
quadrants. So you have the four quadrants in here, right? Those are the four questions. What you
And this
love.
is this is very important. Just to share
Mm-hmm.
with you the reason for being. Because a lot
Mm-mm.
of people becomes depressed and sometimes they took out their own life because they don't have
Mm.
any reason for living anymore. Sometimes
Mm-mm.
ako minsan naiisip ko when I become sad and I know that for me to be happy again, I just need to refocus and make sure that I go back. What is my purpose at this point? Why am I living? What is my reason to wake up each day? And that helps. So thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah.
Think you're very welcome, Marvin, and thank you for sharing that. That's because for me that's a meaningful statement that you've shared, Marvin. I mean, from because there's a lot of people maybe nawala na lang sila sa earth, hindi pa nila
Mm-hmm.
nakita, I mean, nahanap yung hinahanap nila. And maybe right now, to all of the people, pag inas yung sarili nyo, ano nga ba talaga, right? Maybe you don't know the answer. If you don't know the answer yet to that question, then you have to, even if you know the answer, you have to revisit because it changes in terms of your purpose in life, depending on the stage, diba, that you are in. Like, you have to input in here. The first one would be put in there what you love, what the world needs,
Mm-hmm.
what you can get paid for, and what you are good at. Yung mga common things that are appearing dun sa kada quadrant na yun. So most probably, those are the things that energize you. Those are the things that you should be focusing more on. So discard mo na yung mga bagay that deplete your energy, right? All of those things, right? That also contribute to yung sa peace of mind mo, di ba? Negatively. So discard na yon, and then focus more on those things that you believe can energize you, that you believe can help you, that you believe that's you, right? That defines you. So for me, um, at this point, so this is a very short lang naman na
Right. Thank
segment that
you.
we have, but in general, so those are the things that I believe that can help you move forward from today up until X number of years in your life.
Right.
Just reflect on those things, and then I believe you can get there to where you need to be.
That's
That's true. Thank you for
amazing.
sharing, Doc Ray. Really quite helpful. And before we go to the questions later, let me just add to that finding your purpose because some others lagi silang nahihirapan na ano ba talaga yung purpose. I always do yung ibang tao na lagi na sabi, hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko ay marami yung iba nagpo-post sa social media that I needed to travel so that I could find myself and all of that. But to be honest, I really don't agree with that one. I mean, for you to find your purpose, you have to look into yourself. You don't need to go somewhere else. And sometimes you don't need to have some sort of a big meltdown or a big event or a big something
Mm,
that needs to happen into your life so that you'll be able to find your purpose. You have to simply create a purpose for yourself.
Mm. Okay.
Why are you
exactly.
living? Bakit ka nabubuhay? Para sa pamilya mo, di ba? For example, then that is the purpose that you have to live with. You don't have to parang be dramatic about it and I needed to go to Sagada and spend 1 week there with nature so that I'll be able to find myself. You don't need to do that. I mean, you're just spending a lot of money into all of that. Yung parang, I needed to travel to New York, to Thailand, to wherever. And then suddenly, when you go back, what you find yourself doing is that you just spend a lot of money, and sometimes money that you don't have yet, because sometimes karamihan sa atin nagki-credit card lang. So it then further adds to your problem na ay nakapag-travel na ako pero wala pala akong pera at this point in time. So yung mga ganon, you don't need to go far. You can find your purpose by creating your purpose.
And mapapagod ka lang talaga, Marvin. I mean, yung sa kaka-travel, there's a lot of people, I mean, no offense, because I also did that mga years ago. Parang, okay, let's travel this one. Well, I mean, baka naman mahanap ko, di ba? But you're not going to get talaga the purpose in there. You have to be intentional. You have to, maybe yun, baka, di ba? Yung simple niya pause mo talaga in a corner of your home can help you a lot. Diba?
Yeah.
Yung kumbaga pakikipag-usap sa sarili mo can help you a lot.
Yeah, we have several questions here, Marvin. We have from Harris and then from Melton. Have you seen their questions? Sige. This one from Harris, he has actually 4 questions. So the first question is, a mental health disorder characterized by feelings of worry, anxiety, or fear. So what is misconceptions about mental health in the Philippines?
Parang mahirap yung questionnaire, no? When it comes to, although a lot of people na yung sinabi ni Marvin, from mental health perspective, a lot of people will say that, especially for the newer generation, ay nag-iinarte lang yung mga bata sa ngayon. Para mas mas dumadami sila ngayon, no? Tapos di sasabihin natin, baka nagdadrama lang naman yan. Kami before, hindi naman kami ganyan, di ba? Yung mga, di ba, yung comparison between, the former generation as compared to the current generation. And for me, that's actually real. They're just more open right now in terms of, what they're feeling. I mean, from mental health perspective, we're just not recognizing it before, but that's a huge concept when it comes to mental health, and I believe that's the only thing that I can say at this point. And maybe Marvin, you can add more.
There are certain things that you have to look out for. If it is recurring, if the thoughts is actually recurring, and then you find yourself always tired in general about life, you have to look at sometimes kasi hindi natin alam what are the technical terms about it, what are the technical stuff about it. The first thing that you need to do probably is to talk it out with someone that could help you, so that you could be enlightened, or you could feel a little bit lighter as compared to what you're feeling right now. But if it lingers, then that's the time that you have to seek professional help. And it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Correct.
There was a time that just to share a bit of myself, during the first relationships that I had, the very first one, there was a time that I thought that I am sad, very depressed, because ito yung time na I was crying while walking the street, and for me that is not normal at this point in time. But I don't know if that is depression or not. But what helped me is that I purposely enrolled myself to take a master's class in psychology. My thinking then is quite simple, so that I'll be able to learn more about psychology, so that I could help myself. And what happened there is that whenever I attend class, the teacher is so good, Professor Chua, Lane Chua of De La Salle University. I always enjoy her class because for me it is a psychological session that whenever I feel down, immediately after class, I feel good about myself.
That's
again.
great.
So sometimes you have to own it, to own the situation, and then think of whatever works for you. But if it lingers, seek professional help na lang.
That's true. And then for depression talaga, Marvin, different levels talaga siya. So most probably, it was this depression that you were feeling during that time. But, iba-iba talaga yung level niya. Meron ako kasi mga, I have this cousin na talagang she's experiencing yung mga anxiety attacks. As in, totoo siya. Like
Okay.
before, I wasn't, parang hindi ako naniniwala sa ganung mga, cases. Totoo pala siya, right? So when I, first knew yung ganung klaseng situation, that's where I started researching about it and all of that. Okay. And because iba din kasi yung treatment. I mean, not really iba yung treatment, but you have to respond to them yung proper na pag-respond dun sa mga, people who are experiencing it. It's because maybe, like say for instance, like for me, I'll be giving that person, this specific pieces of advice that, oh, you know what, kaya mo yan. Pero it doesn't help to
It
that
doesn't
person
help.
actually.
It doesn't
Yeah.
help. Pagka sinabi
Right.
mo, kaya mo yan, because when a person seeks help, that person is looking for something specific already. The generic term of kaya mo yan, andito lang ako para sa'yo, it doesn't help. It actually adds to the confusion of the person itself. Kasi kapag sinabi mo, andito lang ako, what comes into the mind of the person is how? I'm asking help. I need help right now. How can you help? Diba?
Right.
Hindi pwede yung words lang na nandito lang ako
Nandito
kaya
lang
mo
ako.
yan.
Yeah.
Kulang yon kasi nandun na siya sa level na yon. There's
That's
another
true.
question from
Yeah, oo.
from Harry.
Si Harry sabi niya, several types
how
of
to
of anxiety. I think nasagot niyo na 'yon.
Yeah.
Yung
Yes.
types of anxiety disorders as when to see a doctor. Okay.
And then what else?
Number 3, how to stop comparing yourself with other people.
Dr. Ray, probably ikaw muna.
Doc Ray.
But I think it takes a lot of conscious effort again to appreciate what you have, to appreciate yourself, rather than comparing yourself. I mean, that's one of the sources kasi, diba, of, anxiety. I mean, looking at, the accomplishment of other people, what do they have, and then you compare it with yourself. And for me, you have to be aware talaga with what you have, and you have to believe that that you is actually unique. Your existence is unique, and you don't have to compare it with a lot of people because they're also, walking on different roads. They have their own
Right.
challenges as well.
I'll probably share something that works for me to be practical about it. I always have this thinking before in a song na napakinggan ko. There's that song from Savage Garden that
Okay.
favorite band ko yan eh. One line there is that beauty magazines promote low self-esteem.
Oh, okay.
Diba?
All right.
Kasi what we see in beauty magazines are perfect people.
Yeah.
Yung mga nasa cover, mga ganon. And right now, beauty magazines are quantified 1,000 times more through social media. Remember? Ang dami-dami picture natin na pina-follow ng mga celebrity, mga social media influencers na they're claiming to be. And then mga commercial models, mga good-looking people, rich people, for example, pina-follow natin sila sa social media. And then whenever they post, we get to have a different set of reaction. Sometimes naiingit tayo sa kanila, sometimes nagiging ganun tayo. But what is not what we don't see is that's only the tip of the iceberg. There are struggles for everyone. But for me, in my case, if that person if that celebrity that you're following does not add positive value to your life, then don't follow. Kasi di ba, akala natin maganda lang eh. Halimbawa, mag-post itong celebrity na napakagwapo, napakaganda, napakayaman. Ina-appreciate natin yung whatever post nila. Pero, kino-compare din natin, bakit ako hindi ganyan? Sana ganito na lang ako. So, I stop doing that. Focus more on yourself na lang. And follow people who can inspire you, who provides you tips on how to become better, like Dr. Ray. Follow his YouTube channel so that these are helpful tips eh, di ba? Instead of following the influencers na yung mga pictures yan edited, there are filters and there are stuff, that makes them look good. And that is something that you don't have as an average person. And then it will just add to your confusion. Just follow people that adds positively to your life, that gives you tips on how to become better, that inspires you to become better, that show you how you can become better. Instead of following celebrities na pinopost lang isang picture that they have bought this 5 million car, that they are go to this expensive clinic for their facials, it doesn't help.
That's true.
You know?
And you have to
Choose
switch
the
talaga, di ba? And you have to switch talaga, Marvin, the mindset at conscious effort again to switch the mindset between comparing yourself with other people to comparing yourself, to your previous self. I believe yun yung mas magandang perspective eh. Rather than compare yourself to other people, for you to get better, compare yourself to your former self.
Former self,
yeah.
oo.
That's quite right. Iba nga sinasabi nila diba about age, mga ganun. Bakit ako, lagi sinasabi nila sa akin, why is it that you don't have any problem telling the world how old are you? Simple lang, sabi ko, I'm turning 40 and some other people are 25, 20, 21, 30. I've been there and I've had a good life during my 20s, during my 30s. The problem now is, can they reach 40? Yun na lang lagi ko sinasabi sa kanila.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
And we have of different talaga timelines. Sometimes yung comparison is when it comes to, 'di ba, achieving, especially yung mga classmates, 'di ba? When they see yung mga posts ng classmates in social media, mga nagta-travel and all, and then iisipin mo, gusto ko din mag-travel ganun. So nainggit ka na naman, 'di ba? So that's envy, 'di ba? And then but you don't see the fact that that person, the timeline of that person is actually different, and then you are also you have a different road that you're taking as well, and that person was probably, he or she would have a different struggles as well, or challenges that he or she is experiencing. So
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Fourth question from Harry's. Some tips to improve our mental well-being. I think you've shared a while ago already, Doc. I think that's
Yeah,
the answer. Yung 5 simple
the
ways to
5
become more
tips.
positive in life. So, if I just have to repeat those, be grateful, enjoy nature, do random acts of kindness, take a mental break, and spend time with positive people. So, I think that answers the fourth question of Harry's. Ayun. We have
Right.
several questions also here from Melton John Destacamento. Questions from my students. Number one.
Rotarian Malpan.
Yeah, Rotarian Melton. Right. Number one, too much sadness and overthinking. Modules to finish, excited to go out with friends, etc. Is this a sign? Is this a sign of anxiety or depression? How can I cope with this? Too much sadness daw and overthinking from students.
Okay. Siguro what I've shared in my slides later on, again, I'm not a psychology doctor, no, so I cannot, prescribe a certain plan of action. But what I'm sharing is based on my experience. You needed to have focus. What I shared later on, the rocks and the gravel. What are the things that you need to prioritize at this point in time, and what are the things that you could deprioritize so that you'll be able to see yourself moving forward. Because what makes us sad on a daily basis is that when we are not seeing progress in our life, when we are not achieving results. And so the problem there is not that we are not achieving results. The problem there is that what is it that you needed to do so that you'll start achieving results. So that's where the problem is. It's like it's the thing that's going to it's the area where you needed to focus on and put actionable items, and not on the bigger issue that I am not progressing. Focus on what are the things that would make you progress. Is it a sign of anxiety or depression? In the beginning, probably not. But if you linger, again, I'm not a psychologist, but if you linger on that particular scenario and frame of mind, then it might become depression. That is why focus, put actionable items, and put that into action.
that's true. And then on top of what Marvin mentioned is that because yung mga diagnosis ng ganung mga klase, you have to really understand, di ba, the context, ano ba talaga nangyayari and all of that. Pero on my end naman, so on top of, those things would be, yun, let's go back to journaling talaga. So you have to jot down what are those things that you've been thinking, and you have to be aware. Baka naman kasi it's just more on, the thoughts that, that that are coming out of of your mind. If you see that most of the time, like every day yung talaga iniisip mo that you're down, or sabihin natin you're overthinking, and sabihin natin you're and all of that, then the more that your brain will look for evidences of those things. So being aware of your thoughts for me is a first step. It's very important. So you have to really know it. You have to jot it down.
Thank you, Doc.
Alright.
Another question from Rotarian Melton, from another student. Because of this pandemic, I learned how to maximize the technology to the fullest, like using it 24 hours or more. It came to the
Mm.
point that I even try visiting some restricted sites and make conversation with foreign people for monetary purposes. How can I reduce and remove this addiction?
All right.
Oh.
I'll go ahead first, siguro. You have to assess why are you doing that? For what purpose? And of course, 24 hours, I suppose this is an exaggeration, no? Because I think you needed to rest. But um, whatever it is that you're doing, you have to find the purpose on why are you doing that. I suppose that you would want to earn a living
To earn,
for,
I guess.
monetary to earn, I guess. But um, it, that is for me, that is some sort of an education that's going to be necessary for you. What That's an entrepreneurial skill already. That's what I'm thinking as an answer for this particular behavior. The person just wants to earn a living. What are the areas of opportunity? I guess that's where you needed to focus on. What are the areas of opportunity at this point in time that you could maximize? And talking it out with a foreigner probably will not help. You know why? Because this person that you're talking about, a foreigner, lives in another country. He does not know the specifics of your situation. We are in a pandemic. You are at home. So these are the two facts that we are having. Add to that, we are in a pandemic. The mobility is limited. So in that case, what can I do to earn? So what are the things that I needed to do? Some are like Rotarian Melton, open up a business, a restaurant business. That is good. That is one opportunity to earn.
Uh, your audio, Marbs? Nawala?
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay now.
All right. So as I was saying, Rotarian Melton is actually open up a food business. The challenge now is you cannot go into dine-in. And syempre, kapag kami ganun kang problema, hindi mo lang hahayaan na maglinger ka sa ganon. Find ways on how you could still continue the business by focusing more on food delivery. How could you focus more on food delivery? By making yourself and your brand and your products known first. So you have to market, and then you focus on channels on how to reach out a lot of people. So instead of of doing things that are not helpful and seeking information that are not helpful, go down to basic. That's where you're going to find the solution to your problem.
That's true. And on top of that, Marvin, but it's a good thing. And even to the previous question, no, but there's an acknowledgement in there already. Na,
Yeah.
this is the current situation that I'm in. At least there's already the recognition or the acknowledgement that, that's the situation that you're in. I think recognizing it, acknowledging it is the first step so that you can get to the next step. And
True.
for me, as I can maybe additional would be maybe it's talking about having that balanced life, that your life is not just about your life dito sa 24/7, sabi nga kanina, di ba, dito sa technology, but you have a huge life outside of that. Maybe you can balance it out, not really super balanced, but at least you are putting some percentage for you have your work. Most probably that's something that's where you're earning. Maybe you can also put it somewhere. Maybe you have your friends, your family, and put somewhere else. Maybe you have other hobbies so that you can have that a more balanced life, rather
Yeah.
than stressing yourself out. And yung kanina nga ng mga situations sa sinabi from mental health, you might be seeing people na medyo normal lang naman talaga sila pag tinignan mo, but deep inside there's a lot of things that are going on. It's because yun nga, like say for instance, kung that person, if he keeps on doing that, what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, Tom.
I'd like to focus more on that on that balancing of life. Kasi ngayon, lagi natin nakikita na technology and social media is the only way to go. Baka naman hindi. You have to assess then, baka naman mayroon pang ibang paraan on how to relate with others. Yung nga lang, syempre, limited tayo, nandito lang naman tayo sa bahay. But there are still some other ways that you could do that by actually talking it out. Use the phone and call people and seek help and promote your business and all of that. Kasi the truth is, once you market your product or your business to social media, people will just see what you have and what you're trying to sell or what product you're trying to put out there. But to actually get a sale, you actually have to have an actual conversation. So better that use that time to go down to your list of people and talk to them. That's how you can promote your business.
So for the student siguro kasi, I don't know, maybe kasi andun na yung money, baka nasilaw din siya doon. Kasi tinatanong niya dito, how can I reduce and remove this addiction? So since you know na already that it's bad, so maybe you just really have to stop it. You talk to your parents, diba? And maybe ask for their help.
We've had a good conversation about that on refocusing the attention and really talking it out to people.
Yeah.
It's not that it's given kasi at this point in time
Right.
Hindi natin masisisi yung mga tao na ito yung prevailing way of doing things, and so manalilimit tayo doon. But as a student, and I know the teachers is able to guide them, they could be guided that there are other ways wherein you could channel your effort into something productive and something that is going to help you or benefit you in
to
more
be
ways
a
than
better person also.
Yeah.
Diba? All right.
And
We
that
have,
student
yeah,
will-
go ahead.
And that's all. Also, Gail, no, that student can also create that mechanism. In, say, for instance, just simple as setting an alarm. Like, say, for instance, may alarm after 4 hours, dapat stop ka na muna
Stop
dyan.
na.
Maybe you can switch to other things. So that's one
Okay.
of the things that that the student can do.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, that's very great. Thank you so much. Last two questions from Melton. Ito naman from his co-teachers. Do you have specific suggestions on how employers or organizations can help their employees prevent burnout, feelings of anxiety, or at worst depression, especially under our present circumstances? Burnout
My
naman.
initial topic, my initial topic before what we shared about how we're doing it in Vietnam, there's specific actions there that pertains to how could we prevent burnout.
Burnout.
It's the communication side of it. It's the it's really about that. It's employees communicating to their managers. It's the management communicating to their employees that what are the things that are going to work out. We cannot prescribe naman na management should limit productivity output to this level only because, again, business needs to be sustained. Kasi nga naman kapag ang business hindi mo na-sustain, mas malaking problema yon kasi mas maraming mawawalan ng trabaho. So there have that constant communication and how to help. In our case, what we did is we always provide engagement opportunities. Sa ngayon, online lang. We provide seminars that with topics that are needed at one point in time. We even engage our healthcare provider to provide us specific topics on home ergonomics, on yoga at home, and some other trainings that could really help because again we're limited with doing trainings online at this point in time. But what is always working, pandemic or not, is constant communication, prioritization, and focus on what can work and what can be relegated downside.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that's the significant difference between working in the office and working from home or remotely. yung interaction na yon. Because in the office, ang bilis eh. It's intuitive, right? Mabilis mga conversations. And so, it's so
Yeah.
natural. It happens naturally. But when it comes to dito sa work from home, from leaders' perspective, you have to exert more effort to become more visible to your employees. But I think, I mean, looking at that from that perspective, and I believe yun yung hinahanap natin, nahanap ng mga employees that you just have to be human, right? Talking to, communicating, interacting with your employees from that perspective. Most probably at the onset of pandemic, ang dami nating ginawang mga policies, mga processes, we put that in place, maybe sophisticated ba mga tools and all. But you know what, yung kailangan lang ng mga employees natin is that yung constant na communication talaga, that, that human connection. I
Right.
mean, for me, that is so meaningful, yung interaction na yun. So you don't need to think of so many things, but, just focus on it. And I think that's a pinaka-core na need natin sa ganitong setup.
Yeah, maybe listening lang to their concerns, diba, to their problems. I think that's already a big help. Not necessarily giving solutions right there and then, but at least you're there to listen, 'di ba? Kasi minsan kasi kailangan lang naman ilabas eh, 'di ba? Minsan hindi ka naman naghahanap ng solusyon. Gusto mo lang ilabas kasi mahirap eh, parang masikip. 'Di ba?
That's true.
Yeah, parang hindi ka mapakali. So, I think that's also for the employers. So, the last question from Melton is there a routine that individuals can follow to prevent them from feeling depressed? Say, what little tricks can they do throughout the day from sun up to sundown so they stay away from negative, if not depressing emotions? So, for individuals naman na feeling depressed, ano yung mga konting tricks that you can share?
Actually, Dr. Ray shared that earlier on. Remember the 5 tips that
Yeah.
that he has shared, and it's quite easy to do actually. Probably we could parang run it down again for everyone's
Yeah.
benefit.
And I remember also
Yeah.
yung sinabi ni Doc kanina about meditation. You have to pause, 'di ba? I think that's very important. And yung journaling, 'di ba? You have to write it down. And plus the 5 ways, 'di ba, to keep you
Yeah.
happy. So I think
And I think
those things will help.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Gayla and Marvin. And I believe if you want to really have that, kung gusto niyo meron kayong ritual talaga like on a daily basis na nasusustain up until the end of the day, then you may opt to set up or establish your own morning routine. Yeah, yung
Okay.
morning routine na what do you do first, yung first hour of the day. And in that morning routine, you can design it in such a way that can work for you. Make it a strong morning routine because that can set you up for success until the end of the day. So that's where either you put in there, so you have sabihin natin 15 minutes for meditation. Maybe you can also insert yung journaling, and maybe 15 minutes you spend to listening to podcast or maybe learning something new, right? So yun, I believe yung morning routine, I have a specific video on that I created last year, and for me that's powerful if you can have that, because that sets you up for success for the entire day so that you can win the entire day.
Ako naman, I just wanna share what I do ever since naman talaga, although naging stronger lang yung faith ko. Since last year, mas lalo na akong, I used to pray naman talaga, pero dati once a day lang siya before I go to sleep. But since pandemic, I started praying in the morning. So when I wake up, yun ang una-una kong ginagawa. So, kinukuha ko yung Bible. Siguro, para sa akin, yun na yung way ko of meditating. Yung
Yes.
few minutes na yon, I pray, and then yun na yung sinasabi ko na kay Lord, yun yung mga worries ko, and of course being grateful then thankful for another day. So yun yung ginagawa ko. So tama pala yung ginagawa ko, Doc Ray and Marvin. So before I sleep then, yun din ang ginagawa ko, I pray then, and I also share that with my children. So I think you can also do the same. Whatever your religion is or are, maybe you can try to do that. And then other ano bang ibang ways pa of meditating. So yun yung gusto kong i-share sa inyong lahat. And then there's one more question here from Broms Naagas. How can we inform or let them know that they are being toxic? And how can we be of help to them also if ever we do care?
You're talking on mute, Marvin.
Marvin, mute. You're on mute, Marvin. Marbs, you're on mute.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
There.
So I think it was a follow-up question already. I went up and the first question from Broms Naagas is that having toxic people in life adds up to depression on a certain level. How can we be able to better handle those toxic people, especially when they're part of your family? All right. As what Ray has mentioned, sometimes sa kanya kasi, he delists some people that are being toxic at this point in time. And that is going to be some sort of a solution that will work at one point. Kapag sobrang toxic ka na at this point, you needed to let go at one point so that hindi siya makaka-add sa'yo. But you have to go back to that. Kasi what you're doing is a solution that is that helps you at the moment. But in his case, what are you going to do? It's part of your family. It's family. It's always there. Diba? Hindi mo siya may iwasan. You also have to assess the situation yourself. Una, you go into to yourself internally. What is it that I did or I might have done that make this particular family member toxic towards me? First is you have to listen to yourself, or you have to look into yourself. Meron ba akong ginawa? Meron ba akong hindi ginawa that merited or warranted that kind of behavior? And then from there you could assess the plan of action that you needed to do. Kung wala ka naman talagang ginawa in your own perspective, again, you can, and if it works for you, you could protect yourself by being away at one point, but there will come a certain time that you have to talk it out with that person. Anyway, kamag-anak mo yan. Ililipas din yung whatever emotional situation that you're having at the moment. At one point in the future, things will become a little bit lighter, and then you could talk it out with that person para hindi na siya maulit-ulit.
That's true. And on top of that, I think that's pretty normal, especially in our situation, especially sa mga Asian countries like Philippines, the close family ties wherein we live with, our family members, that, it happens a lot of time. But it's really hard. I mean, especially but siguro yung gusto kong tanongin would be, how do you define a toxic person? Paano siya naging toxic person from your perspective? Because sometimes what's actually hindering you, or yung wall between you and that person, is actually your ego in such a way that you just don't want to let it go. And that's why you're not communicating with that person. It's because of that. So may wall ka na agad in there, diba? Ikaw na mismo naglalagay nun. And I think yung constant communication talaga na yun eh. You have to recognize if that's a person, diba, family member mo siya, then have that constant communication. I mean, I know it's not easy, but maybe you have to really decide. You have to choose. I mean, from yourself that, okay, I define him as a toxic person, but maybe the person hindi niya alam na toxic pala siya sa'yo, right?
Yeah.
So you have to let the person know, diba? That's feedback is a gift, and most probably hindi lang walang tao nagsasabi to that other person that you are a toxic person, and here are the things na you are affecting me negatively. And most probably when you hear the person talking, ay, hindi naman pala siya ganon. He was talking or he was doing it from other perspective. Maybe that's the only way that that's the only way that he knew on how to express that specific thing. And maybe na misinterpret lang natin. But, if it comes to the point na sobra na talaga sobrang toxic, you've done a lot of things, kumbaga, you exhausted a lot of effort to do it, then, for me, even sabihin natin, family member mo siya, then maybe you can go to other place talaga. You have to separate yourself physically to that person. So,
hirap yun.
For me. Yeah, maybe after some time, kapag ready na yung lahat, maybe you can go back.
True. I'll put it this way. I'm holding here a cup. If I told you to, and then imagine that in this particular cup, kumukulo yung laman, mainit na kape, for example. Sabihin ko sa'yo na, uy, hawakan mo yung cup na yan, and then, inom ka kasi masarap yung lasa. Pero syempre iisipin mo, niloloko mo ba ako? Nakita ko nga umuusok eh. Ang hirap hawakan yan kapag hinawakan ko ganyan. So probably my point here is that you have to have a different type of perspective aside from your point of view. Kasi ito yung nakikita mo. This is your point of view. pag ginawakan mo to, mapapasok ka, mahirap. Pero if you would look into the other way and try to look at into a different perspective, into a different point of view, iikot yung paningin mo, makikita mo siya ng pagganyan, meron pala siyang handle dito. And that is where you could actually hold it a little bit better. And always in every situation, there is that one entry point. There is that one handle wherein you could work things out better.
Right.
Hindi lang sa perspective na ganito. Diba?
That's true. And super playful talaga yung mind natin. It can be, sabihin natin, it can trick you, yung mind natin. Yung sinabi ko kanina, di ba, yung concept that whatever it is na iniisip mo, mahahanapan ka talaga ng ebidensya. Say for instance, if you think that your family member is toxic, maghahanap siya ng ebidensya para masatisfy ka lang na toxic talaga siya. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I can actually relate to that kasi I have 3 kids eh. So, I know how it feels. But what I do as a mom, although sometimes I freak out, but I just really have to talk to them. Sinasabi ko talaga na nakakapagod na kayo. Kung pwede lang akong magbakasyon. Kaya lang I don't have a choice. I have to be here. I am your mom. So, I just need to talk to them. Sometimes they get mad or they cry, but I really have to kasi that's the only way.
Yeah.
Dahil wala naman kami ibang space. Di ba?
And sometimes also, baka on a different perspective, ang tingin din sa'yo ng mga anak mo is toxic. So, ang tingin mo sa kanila is toxic. So, yung ganon. So, you have to meet halfway so that you'll be able to work it out if you want to work it out. Diba?
Yeah, that's right.
And really, constant and open communication talaga is key sa maritong klaseng relationship, no? And sabihin natin, 90% of the time, communications really yung nagbe-breakdown. And then, lalo na sa setup na, ay sa setting ni Philippines or sa Asia itself, that we are non-confrontational. Kaya nagiging issue siya, right? We're not just open about what we feel.
Mas gusto natin makipag-usap sa ibang tao as compared to talking it out with the actual person na may problema tayo.
Correct.
Diba?
Pero ako naman siguro natutunan ko na yan because I'm a mom. Dati hindi ako ganun. Pero ngayon kahit na masasaktan sila, I really have to solve the problem. Yeah. Kasi otherwise, lalaki siya, hindi siya magsasalita, tatahimik lang siya, and then for all you know, malaki na pala yung problem ng bata. So that's what I do. Although sometimes sinasabi ko rin sa kanila, kasi they share also their knowledge. Minsan nakikita ko parang ayaw na nila mag-share. Siguro feeling nila nga toxic na ako. Sinasabi ko, that knowledge, 'di ba? It's meant to be shared. Hindi siya yung dapat ikikip mo lang sarili mo. Same thing with wisdom, 'di ba? So siguro minsan their minds are opening then to that kind of idea. So I think they're learning as well. So it's really a two-way process talaga.
And I know you personally. I know that you're a great mom. Sometimes strong talaga yung personality mo.
Oh my God. Oy, pero minsan nagbe-breakdown din ako. Nakakapagod din. But really, I really just had to find ways. Like last year, talagang naghanap lang ako ng paraan to be able to bond with them. Kasi for the longest time, they go to school, traditional school, diba? Last year lang talaga I started baking. And dun kami nag-bond.
Wow.
I enjoy kami. Yeah. So I think that's also one way. If you're a mom, if you're a dad, so just, find something to do yung parang happy, with your kids. Para hindi lang kayo mabobore, hindi kayo mababaliw. So, that's
true.
That's helpful.
I think we have one last question here coming from Romel Bravo.
Okay.
How can I use distraction to manage difficult thoughts or feelings?
Oh, okay.
What's the question again, Marvin?
How can I use distraction to manage difficult thoughts or feelings?
Okay.
How can you use distraction to manage your thoughts mo and feelings?
Difficult thoughts and feelings.
Para sinasabi niya siguro paano niya iba-block yung mga negative na mga thoughts. Siguro ganun. Kasi di ba minsan ganun din tayo eh. Ang dami natin iniisip. Gusto natin i-block yun eh. Parang paano natin i-shift siguro sa positive. Yun yung gusto niyang, or yun ang gusto niyang ibig niya sabihin.
I'd like to share my experience that I have shared earlier on when I was having that certain type of sadness, yung naglalakad ako ng iyak. What I did as a sort of distraction is yun nga, I enrolled myself in master's program in psychology.
Okay.
So that at the back of my mind, I'm having an emotional problem. Siguro baka kailangan ko mag-study ng psychology so that I could help myself.
So you could understand yourself better.
On the practical side of it, I know that kapag ka nag-masters ako, it will even better my career.
Yeah.
So may mga ganung factor. But distractions really work at one point. Kapag ka sobrang bigat na ng problema mo, and then sobrang sabay-sabay, and then marami, you needed to have that kind of pause. Distraction is a sort of a pause so that you could refresh your mind but always just keep in mind that a distraction is just a pause. It does not solve the problem.
Yes.
It is still there. So you have to go back. You have to go back to that and really provide that kind of solution. But again, a pause and a distraction is needed so that you'll be able to take yourself away from that situation and gain a different perspective so that when you are ready, you can go back to that situation and provide the solution.
Ako naman, I just wanna share before si Doc Ray will give answers naman. Ako, when I am really heavy na with problems, yung hindi na ako makapag-isip, yung sobrang dami na negative, what I do is I go to sleep. Malaking tulong talaga siya sa akin.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oo, tinutulog ko siya kasi hindi ko na kaya, hindi ko na alam kung ano pa yung solusyon. So I sleep mga few hours, tapos pagising ko refresh na, nakakaisip na ako. So that's really what I do. Most of the time, pag sobrang puno na, yung parang, ayoko na. So, I just wanna be alone and just go to sleep. So, siguro hindi napapansin ng mga anak ko yun. Pero yun talaga yung ko, yun yung pause kong moment, talagang tulog. Yun.
Pero ang ganda nun, ang ganda ng Gail. I mean, in terms of, resetting, refreshing your life, yung pagtulog na yun. Sometimes you just need that. And then when you wake up, ibang perspective na talaga siya. Right? And madaming nasusolve sa pagtulog lang talaga. And by not sleeping kasi, mas lalong nagiging heated talaga and something either that happens within.
Magkakasakit ka lalo pag hindi mo siya itutulog. Kaya minsan naman, pag di ako makatulog, I just get the Bible, tapos niyayakap ko lang siya. Kasi minsan mahirap din, di ba? Dahil mo inisip, gusto mo siyang i-solve na agad. Ang hirap eh. So, kunin ko lang yung Bible, akapin ko lang siya, tapos hanggang sa makatulog ako. That's what I really do ever since. So, yun. Gusto nyo rin, yung mga nanonood ngayon, you might wanna try it minsan. It might help you as well.
That's true. And even yung mga pause, diba? Yung mga little pauses, yung mga pag nag-nap ka for power nap, mga 20 minutes, ganyan, 25 minutes, that's very helpful as well. And then yun, sa sinabi nga ni Marvin kanina, there's a lot of people, parang yung tanong would be, ano yung parang positive na distraction ata na kailangan niya para dun ma-break yung kung ano mo yung pumapasok dun sa mindset and all of that, right? Aside from the sa sinabi ni Marvin that, hey, maybe you can engage to this activity, you make yourself busy and all of that, but it doesn't solve actually the situation, the problem. You still go back after nun, right? So, yung pausing talaga, yung intentional na mindfulness, wherein you pause. Okay, yung meditation talaga is very important. A lot of people are not doing it, but you just have to start yourself engaging yourself because that's where you can find yourself. Ano ba talaga yung voice within? And you just have to recognize that. And that's what you get when you do yung mga mindfulness na mga exercises na yun. It's been there. It's available, kumbaga, madaming centuries na. So you just have to try it out. And you just have to be open. Most of the time kasi, when you start yung meditation, ano ba yan, Dr. Ray? Nag-meditate na, wala naman nangyayari, mga tipong ganun. So you have to be open, right? And even yung journaling, you have to be open. You have to believe that it's working. And I believe that's the science behind it. Because if you believe na hindi siya nag-work, it's not going to work. It's going to, if you're gonna get yung worst ng yung tools na yun that are out there.
Right. Sabi nga, di ba, ng mga Buddhists, you are the product of what you have taught.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually
Yes.
often see that sa daughter ko, si Kyle. Kasi madalas ko siya makita, may sinusulat siya. So, ano na yan eh, parang a year na. Lagi siyang may, drawing, doodle, ganun. Tapos parang sabi
Doodle.
ko, what are you doing? Sabi niya, noong una ayaw niya sabihin, tapos panay tanong ko, sabi ko, look at your notebooks kasi punong-puno na halos na uubos na, tapos yung mga papel. Sabi niya, that's what I do whenever I'm sad, I think of my
Mm.
friends, parang stressed siya sa classes nila. So, yun daw yung ginagawa niya. So, sabi ko, okay. Nakakatulong pala sa kanya yung ganun. So, yun, simula nun, nakikita ko siyang ganun kung ano-anong ginagawa, pinapabayaan ko na lang siya. Kasi, ngayon,
Right.
alam ko na yun yung way niya of distressing. So, ganun pala
It's a
yun.
therapy.
Oo, it's
It's
a
a
therapy
therapy
pala
Yes, a
for
yun.
sure.
therapy.
So,
Mm.
yun. So, di baling maubos na
Right.
yung mga papel.
Yeah, a small price to
Yeah.
pay for the sanity of your kids. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
True.
all right. So, Gail, Dr.
Yeah.
Ray, we've been talking since 5 p.m. It's now
Wow.
7:20
Oo nga, no.
p.m.
Hindi ko
Sarap
na
pa
malayan.
magkwentuhan eh.
Yeah.
Hindi ko na notice.
It's actually almost 2.5 hours talk. In the beginning, I thought that this episode, because it's the person that we only had one guest, that we're
Yeah.
going to finish at around 6:30. But no, it's still at 7:20. It has been a great discussion. Lots of questions, lots of engagement from the audience. Thank you for the engagement, Rotary and Melton and all the others who have been asking questions. And
Right.
thank you, Dr. Ray Premista, for having
My
for
pleasure.
lending time to be on the show. We really enjoyed it, and we really learned a lot from what you have shared with us.
Exactly. Ako rin talaga, aside from learning a lot, ang daming realizations na, okay, tama pa rin ginagawa ko. Okay, mali pala yun. So next time, I can change that to something better. So thank you very much because I'm a mom of 3 and I have a bedridden husband. I think that's very, very important. This session that we have today really helps me as mas lalong maging focus and mas lalong maging positive. So again, Dr. Ray, thank you so much. I hope na mas
All right.
marami pa kayong may share sa ibang tao so that they will also be productive like,
Yeah.
like
So-
like us, 'di ba? So thank you very much.
Before we close it down, Dr. Ray, probably last words to our audience, and probably you might want to share your YouTube channel so that they could take advantage of the videos that you have been working on and has shared to a lot of people.
Oo.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, for this great opportunity. Gail as well as Marvin. It's an honor. Whenever I speak to anyone, sharing all of these things, this passion project that I have, it's always been like I feel that I'm a new person. Like it has enriched me a lot, with this type of meaningful conversations with, both of beautiful people, right? Si Gail and then si
Just like
Marvin.
you, Doc.
So feel free to subscribe and check for my YouTube channel. So that's Mind Grit by Dr. Ray from Mista. On a weekly basis, I upload contents in there. A lot of things that you will be realizing on how you can achieve your goals, so that you can be more motivated. In the long run. So that's my purpose yun sa channel na yun. And I also have the presence of the channel in other social media space. So we have the Facebook page, same thing. So that's Mind Grit by Dr. Ray from Mista. In LinkedIn, I'm also available in there. And then I also available right there in Instagram. So as much as possible, I use all of those channels for me to share yung positivity so that I can, cross-pollinate that happiness like in the world. In the world.
Nice.
So, and pinaka-last ko usually na line would be, just remember to be happy always because you can always choose to be happy. It's a choice, right? So
Right.
just be
That's
happy
true.
and be grateful with your life.
Thank you,
All right.
Doc.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Ray. So there you have it, our dear friends. One more episode of Good Vibe Sunday with Marvin and DJ Gail. And for this session with our very special guest, Dr. Ray Premista, it's been 2.5 hours of non-stop talk, non-stop discussions, and we are very happy that you have joined us. So for the next episode, let us know your thoughts as well. Reach out to me on what are the topics that you would want us to share with you so that we'll be able to help you further as we all go through this pandemic. All
That's
right.
right.
So it has been a very good Sunday for us. Thank you, Dr. Ray, for being on the show again, and thank you, DJ Gail.
Thank you very much. Advance happy birthday daw to you, DJ Marvin. That's from Ryan Melton. And sabi niya, the topic was really great. Thank you so much again, Doc Ray. Subscribe ako sa channel mo. And sabi ni Melton, sabi ng prof ko sa PNU, official titos and titas of Manila ka na pag you enjoy your Sunday, natutulog lang rather than going out. That's so true. Thank you once again, guys. Another Good Vibe Sunday here on Hit Radio 100.7. Doc Ray, Marvin, I hope to see you again next time. And Marvin, definitely, I'll see you again next week, Sunday. Guys, thank you so much.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of
See
your
you again next
Sunday. Take care.
Thank
Love
you,
you
Dr. Ray.
all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Stay safe, too. Thank you, Marv. Doc Ray, thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Paano ko ba gagawin? Minuto ang bawat tiktak ng segundo. Paano ko ba gagawin oras ang bawat minuto pagkapiling kita? Bakit ba ang bilis ng panahon pag tayo'y nagsasaya at magkasama? Bakit ba ang bagal ng panahon pag ika'y wala maghapon ay parang taon? Kaya gagawan ko na lang ng paraan bago ako maalibad-paran. Manonood ng telenovela, makikipaglaro ng pekwa. Mabuti na yan kesa sa magwala. Paano ko ba gagawin? Minuto ang bawat tiktak ng segundo. Paano ko ba gagawin oras ang bawat minuto pagkapiling kita? Oras, pwede ka lang pakiusapan. Oras, sana ako ay pagbigyan. Oras, sige kumaripas, tinisan mo na. Pag kami nagkita na, maaari ka nang magpahinga. Paano ko ba gagawin? Minuto ang bawat tiktak ng segundo. Paano ko ba gagawin oras ang bawat minuto? Ang araw ay gawing taon, ang taon ay gawing magpakailanman. Pag ika'y kasama ko,
If it is too loud, you're too old. Radio 100.7. From the capital city of the Philippines. On air and online. On air and online. The station that plays the biggest hits. This is Manila's Radio 100.7.